You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to the 42 Cast, your ultimate answer to fandom, geekiness, and everything. As always, I am your host, Nathan, and we have another great episode lined up for you where we're going to talk about Gargoyles. Yes, you might wonder, haven't you already talked about Gargoyles? And yes, we have, but this is the second panel that we mentioned when we talked about that before, where we talked about having a panel with all women, and this time we're going to have a panel with all men. And this all has to do with someone once telling me that men and women view the show differently. So I wanted to try a little experiment to see if that's actually true, especially since the person refused to elaborate when I asked them how that was. So you can listen to these in any order. So if this is the first one that you're listening to, you can go back to episode number 265, where we have the all-women panel, and listen to that one after this one, and that is perfectly fine. But there's no reason for me to natter on anymore. Let's join the episode already in progress. Let's meet our cast for this week. And first up, he is my oldest friend. He's only been on the show once before talking about arcades, but he knows all kinds of other stuff. And that is my buddy, Kevin. Kevin, welcome back to the 42 Cast.
Good to be here, Nathan. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, no problem. So, yeah, why don't you catch us up a little bit? Because it's been a couple of years since you've been on the show. What have you been up to?
Well, I'm still in the Navy doing the whole nursing thing. Went to Guantanamo Bay for a year and a half.
As an inmate?
Not as a prisoner, thankfully.
He knows what he did.
Hospital.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even there working with the quote-unquote bad people. I was just at the regular hospital treating all of the active duty people and their families and the civilians. So it's actually a beautiful place. They've got some nice beaches. I mean, I don't know if beaches is too strong of a word. There's not any sand per se. They have rocks, and then there's beautiful water. The water's gorgeous. But I bet. Yeah, that's the Caribbean. So yeah, I bet it's nice there. Yeah, it is. I wish they had more sand, but the water's beautiful. It's just a gorgeous place. They've got enormous iguanas. They're like 4 feet long. They've got these things called banana rats. You can do a Google image search sometime. They are enormous. They're not exactly rats, but they are large rodents. I love this. You're like, it's such a wonderful, beautiful place, but there's monsters living there. They also have enormous land crabs that are... These things are huge. When they stand up, they're standing up like almost a foot tall. It's ridiculous. But you did some leveling up while you were there, right? I did. I joined the 1,000-pound club at the gym, which is where you do the 3 power lifts and the totals of 1,000 pounds. Anyway, you guys aren't interested in that. But, I had plenty of time for video games and the gym and just went to work. I was there by myself. My wife was in the United States during that time, but she would come to visit often, so I was fine. And now I'm back here in Florida, in Jacksonville, and this is probably my last duty station before I retire, so which I'm excited about. Wow, you must be older than I remember.
What? No, but seriously, Kevin, it's what, 22 years now?
I've been in 22 years,
yeah. That's a haul, dude.
Yeah, you had a brief period in between where you were out, but then you went back in. I don't know how long that lasted, but it was
6 months.
Oh, okay.
6 months.
For some reason I thought it was like a year or two.
So probably looking at the spring of 2022, which will put me at about 23 years of service, which is plenty for me.
Okay. You didn't want to make Admiral someday, huh?
No. That's why I'm getting out. It's not because I couldn't get that high. I just don't want to. I don't feel like it.
All right, so that takes us up to now. But how have you been lately?
Good. Just surviving the pandemic. I mean, I'm in a great position. I have a job with the military, steady paycheck. My wife is working remote. So as far as that goes, we are, things could be far worse. We have all of our problems are first world problems. We're like, we can't travel as much as we want to and things like that. We were actually overseas. We went to Thailand and the Philippines in March. I don't know if you remember, March was kind of when the pandemic was exploding. So we were keeping an eye on it when we left. We left on March 1st to go there. And it was like, oh, okay, we'll just be careful. And then by the end, we're like, we have to get out of this place. Because we were in the Philippines. They were shutting down domestic travel. So we actually weren't able to go to all the places we wanted. Had to cut the vacation short. And we were getting worried we'd get stranded there and not able to get back to the U.S. So we felt lucky to get back when we did. And so the Navy actually has some severe restrictions on us right now. I'm not allowed to go out to eat. I can get food to go, but I can't go out to eat, can't go to bars, clubs, restaurants, theme parks. There's a long list of stuff we're not supposed to do. So it's kind of crazy. I didn't know it would go on for this long. So we're looking forward to being able to travel again, go out, do the normal things we do. But otherwise, we're fine. Work is good. Things are good for me personally. Oh, my son, Alexander, he graduated in the spring, virtually.
Now course. I feel
old. And he's joining the Air Force, so he'll be going probably early next year. And my daughter, Sarah, is a senior in high school. So, yes, we are getting old.
I feel very old. Yeah. Sarah's a senior. Oh, my God. I remember when they were born.
My youngest is 17.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, time certainly does fly. But it is good to have you back on the show, Kevin.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, next up is another voice that you haven't heard in a very long while, and that is a guy that I played D&D with where he was a humanoid orca, and that is my buddy Nate. How are you doing, Nate?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Nathan?
I am doing fantastic. So how are things, how have things been in the last couple of years? Because I think you've also it's been like 2 years since you were on the show.
Yeah, it's been a while. Everything's going okay. I had to quit my job when the dark times came, and now I'm a full-time stay-at-home dad.
Oh, was that just because you were afraid of getting infected by COVID?
Yeah. I live in North Carolina, and so it was just. I was like, it's probably better if I just stay home. And we have the opportunity to do that because my wife is the breadwinner, not me. So she's able to make enough money for us to get by without me with me being able to stay home and take care of the kids. And they're real young. They're like 3 and 4. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize. I guess I hadn't seen you post anything about it, but yeah, I didn't realize that you weren't working right now.
Yeah,
but that's completely understandable.
Yeah, that's actually part of the reason why I'm able to be here is because I take care of the kids all the time. So I told Michelle, I was like, I need to do a podcast and talk about some geeky stuff with some adults.
Oh, I'm glad I could provide you with an escape.
I know. I really need to talk to some adults.
Right. I gotcha.
About a children's cartoon.
Right. Yeah, I gotcha. All right. Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah, other than like watching kids shows and stuff like that, anything fun going on? Anything that's, you're enjoying doing?
Yeah, I've been, I'm working on making my own role-playing game.
Ooh.
I'm going to use, people may or not be familiar, the Blades in the Dark. They have an open license, and I'm going to convert it into a sort of like conspiracy or X-Files, Delta Green kind of feel. The players will be government agents tracking down horrors and stuff. It's like a horror game. So that should be I should be coming out with the alpha of the rules and start actually testing it with my group here in a little bit, and just stay tuned.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, let us know when that's been developed, and is ready for release, and I'll certainly put a plug in for it.
That would be awesome.
All right. Well, it is good to have you back on the show, Nate.
It's great to be here.
All right, and finally, we have another guy who's experienced in trying to create his own role-playing game. He is also the world's foremost Flash fan, but that's not what we're talking about today, and that is my buddy Sean. How are you doing, Sean?
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Doing great, Sean. So what's been going on for you?
Well, just like you heard from the other gentleman, we're all just kind of surviving COVID at this point.
Yeah.
Fortunately for, let me see, when was the last time I was on? I was on sometime in the spring, I think, yeah?
Yeah, we were talking about the last season of The Flash.
Yeah, we were talking about the last season. Don't get me started. But yeah.
Well, I love how we just gushed about Ralph just like 3 weeks before the news hit.
Oh my gosh, right? Like, I seriously almost like, we need to do a hot take on this, right? Like, because this, oh my Lord, like that was, and I miss it. He was such a great like the actor, right. If you could remove the person from the craft, his craft was so on for that character that I hope they find a way to recast him or something where like he goes through like a Plastic Man facelift or something and he just looks like somebody else. I don't know. But yeah, man, this is what happens when COVID hits. Okay, is the Flash characters get jacked up. And endings are weird, but no, things are fine. My wife started a new job. She had just only been there a couple months, and now she's almost been there a year. She's like a couple more months, and she'll be there for a full year. And we've been just hanging at the house and doing stuff on Twitch. We just did Pop Con last month, which was this stupid, weird. I don't want to call it stupid, but it was just this weird.
It wasn't stupid.
It wasn't stupid. It was just this weird idea I had, which was that there are no real fun conventions that are happening right now, and almost everything is virtual. And I was like, I really wish I could get all my friends together and we do like a virtual con, because I missed Dragon Con as soon as it was over, and I knew that I was going to miss it. So way back like in March, I said, let's put together a convention that's just going to be fun. It's going to be free. Anybody can watch it. And we're just going to cover any topic that we want to cover. And so I made like 50 something topics. I sent it out and we narrowed it down to 16, where I was able to get, 3 or 4 people for each panel. Nathan was on quite a few. Kevin, unfortunately, did not respond at all. Shade. But it actually went, but no, it actually went off really, really well. We had a lot of views. We have a lot of people that checked it out. People are like, wow, this was really, kind of polished up. And we're like, yeah, we just did it for fun. So we're definitely going to do more of that because people have asked us to do more. And we're just going to kind of keep on plugging away. So folks have asked, is this like the new Sean Castic? And I said, I guess kind of, because people want us to do more like weekly or bi-weekly programming where we do like a topic and we just talk. But it looks like it's probably going to go that way, but it'll just be, on Twitch and YouTube versus just an audio podcast or anything. So.
All right.
And that's it.
Okay. So what is that like? So I know that you guys like that was your whole thing that you used to do as sort of a, side business was doing the cons.
Yeah.
So how is that affecting you guys, like with all these cons shut down, and it's all virtual now and stuff like that?
I mean,
like,
it's not fun. I'll tell you that it's not fun at all. But I will say this, Laura and I were incredibly fortunate. Like I said, she got into a new job basically at the end of February of last year. So we went to C2E2. Basically, from what we all have gathered, I and then Laura both got COVID, or we got something that was basically COVID's little brother. Because we were down for a while and they didn't even have the testing at that point that they could really give to us. So it was pretty gnarly. But we recovered and that was the last thing we did, was basically like the last weekend in February. And so we went in and we started a new job, or she started a new job. And fortunately that job has been extremely good to her, because the shutdown basically happened where everybody had to kind of isolate at home, and they were able to just roll with it, and they've loved what she's done. So for us, the lack of conventioning has just been more of a moral kind of like, break versus it being anything that hurt us financially. And we're incredibly lucky because of that, because, we're pretty frugal with our money, and our day jobs are actually, they pay us pretty well. The pop cycle stuff for the years previous to that was how we were making ends meet, how we were paying off some debts. And now it's become, once, COVID passes and we all get, our vaccines and stuff, it will go back to being something that we'll be able to make a nest egg with, which was always kind of what it's been, there for. Basically, it's not a retirement fund, but it's just more of if we want to go off and do something really stupid, like let's take 3 weeks off of work and just take like an obscene boat trip from like, the United States over to Europe or something, and then fly back, or something completely ridiculous, we can go and do that. Not to say that we would, but, just to say that, if that's something we got a wild hair up our butt, we'd be able to do. So again, we've been incredibly fortunate that it has been not something that hurt us. And I cannot tell everybody how thankful I am that Laura was able to get that job, and how much we weren't having to rely on any kind of like virtual shows, because, virtual cons are great in theory, but part of the fun and part of the draw of being face to face with people is when you see something online, you can go, oh, I'll bookmark that and come back to it later. The need to buy is not as intense, especially with handmade art. Whereas if you see it in person and that vendor says, we don't sell online, you can only buy it face to face, if you're only going to be at a 2-day convention or a 3-day convention, that's your window. And it causes people to purchase more. So for us, it's like, that sucks. We don't have that money coming in anymore, but we're okay. We're able to pay our bills. We're able to eat food. We're able to, keep all of our premium, channels on, so we can watch, like Hulu and stuff and Netflix. And as long as I got Netflix and Hulu and my Amazon Prime, I'm okay. I want to get through this lockdown, So.
Right. Well, that's great that the timing worked out as well as it did for you too.
It really, really did. But that is not to say we don't miss going to shows, because we love seeing people. We have so many fans around the country that, they email, say, how are you doing? We miss you guys. We can't wait to see you next year. People are already planning to see us in 2021. And we're like, wow, like that is something that we really carry with us, because folks consider us part of their annual, their kind of con experience is to go and see Pop Cycle. So that's a really humbling thing to experience. And I'm just so glad that that's still going to be there in 2021. And I'm so glad that, because it's not here right now, that we're not hurting. And I knock on wood every single day, and I'm thankful to all the various deities that I can pray to for that just good fortune. Like Kevin said, very first world problems, and I'll take that every single day, and I'll be grateful for every minute of it. So.
Sure. Yeah. Well, once again, I mean, it's good to have you back on the show, and I'm glad that things are working out for you.
Great to be here, and I will try not to ramble as much, but no promises.
Sure. It's okay, Sean. I know what I'm getting into when you're on the show.
Right? I mean, seriously, you knew what this was when you asked me on.
Right. All right. Well, next up is what would normally be our 5-minute controversy, but because of something that happened a couple of weeks ago, we're going to kind of make it not really a 5-minute controversy and more just a tribute to an actor who has touched so many lives over his very long career, and that actor is Sean Connery. He passed a couple of weeks back. He had lived to a ripe old age, so I guess it wasn't really unexpected, other than the fact that, it's just anytime you get news like that, it always feels like, oh man, so but just because he made so many movies over so many years, and we've all latched on, I think, to different movies that he's done, that I just wanted us to each take a moment, pick a movie that you feel, for whatever reason is one of your favorites of his performances. I mean, I know with some people it's like, well, it's hard for me to pick my favorite. Well, okay, just pick one of your favorites and just talk about it for a little bit. And so just so that we can give a little tribute to him. So, Sean, since I know that you had an answer prepared from the moment that I mentioned that I was going to do this, I'll let you start.
Okay, yeah, I literally said if somebody took this from me, I would decapitate them. I meant that in his joke, by the way, but sure. I'm talking, of course, about the awesome Highlander. Yes. I love this movie so much. It was one of my first real I was 8 years old when this came out. My dad, brought it home on VHS, and I got to watch it. And I remember watching this with Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery. Oh damn, I just forgot his name. The Kurgan, Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown. Yeah.
Clancy Brown. Yeah, and I just remember just being in awe of this movie. And my dad was a big fan of rock and roll and Queen and stuff like that. He had a bunch of albums, so it very much was one of those things that I was hyper aware of musically as well. So it just became one of these things that I immediately globbed onto. And if you have never seen this movie, first off, go get this movie. Soundtrack rips. Acting is amazing. I sincerely doubt anybody who's listening to this this panel/podcast isn't familiar with it. But if you're not, the basic premise is that immortals walk among us, and they have to fight one another until only one remains. There can be only one. And the main story is about this guy called Connor McLeod, and it's basically following his journey as they have gotten to the Gathering, which is like the last handful of immortals. And they have these really great flashback sequences to his early life, right when he became an immortal by accident. And Sean Connery rolls up as an Egyptian of all things, a Spaniard Egyptian,
yes.
or like he's like the weirdest mashup of all these different like backgrounds
with this Scottish accent.
With a Scottish accent, named Ramirez. What is it? It's Juan
Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez.
Yeah, I was like, I always get the middle part screwed up. Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, and he rolls in with like this gigantic pimp hat, with an ostrich. With like an ostrich feather. Clearly he killed like a freaking velociraptor to get this thing. That's how old he is in this movie. He's just rolling around. He's got like this weird velour suit. Like if you've ever seen Zap Brannigan in Futurama, just put some darts in the sleeves, put him in a giant hat, and give him a katana. That's basically Sean Connery in this movie, right? I mean, it is a very weird thing, and he's perfect in it. It's beautiful.
And it's like, why does he have a katana? He's from Egypt and Spain.
Right.
He should have like a stone sword, like an obsidian sword, or like some sort of like rapier or something from Spain. Yeah. But no, he's got a katana from Japan.
He was with a Japanese girl.
Because it was Kumiko, right? Because at some point he went to Japan and he met Kumiko, right, or whatever her name was. I think it was Kumiko.
And her father Masamune, a genius.
He has a Masamune sword.
I think it was just because it was the 90s and everything was katanas.
Everything was. I think. Well, it was 86, but yeah,
leather
I think
coats.
You're right. I think if you really think about it, I think it was just. Katanas are cool. And let's be fair, the katana is one of the coolest looking swords ever forged by mankind. I mean, there's some great ones, but the katana blade is just it's a smooth looking device. And they wanted to get it in the hands of Connor. And obviously Connor, the way they wrote his story, he's not going to go to Japan. So they're like, well, what if Ramirez had gone to Japan and Ramirez hooked up and got this Masamune blade, and it's complete peak ridiculousness, but how do you know? I mean, if this guy's been around for 400, 500, 600 years, right? Who's to say that he hasn't been wandering around Egypt and, Japan and where the hell? So yeah, I mean, you can have that happen. But I think the idea of having a black obsidian like rapier would have been really cool. I think that would have been a really cool weapon, especially fighting against the Kurgan, because that Kurgan basically has the crowbar with like wings on it. But guys, if you've never seen this movie, it's so great. Sean Connery every scene he's in, and this is in a movie with excellent actors. We're talking Christopher Lambert is absolutely amazing. Clancy Brown is the scene stealingest, just scenery chewingest dude in this movie. And when he walks across freaking Sean Connery, you forget that he's there. That's how cool Sean Connery is in this movie. Yeah. And I mean, seriously, like you show up because you want to see the Highlander win, but you stay because the Kurgan is just fun to watch. Right. And then there's Sean Connery who just, dwarfs them both. He's amazing in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the early Sean Connery movies that I saw, and yeah, his performance in that is just so good. And you instantly just like this guy. He's so fun. Right. He's amazing. He's an awesome fighter, and he's also fun. And that's one of those things Sean Connery was able to do in so many of his roles, was that just natural charisma where he just like
But you know what's the messed up part about this, Nathan, that I always thought was suspicious as a kid, and I still think it's suspicious, is you very clearly know that Sean Connery is trying to basically bed every woman that he runs across in this movie, right? Like, you know he's eyeballing Heather the whole time, but yet Connor's like, well, it's Sean Connery. If that's what happens, that's what happens. Right? Like, does anybody else get that vibe off of this? Like Connor's kind of like, I get it, like he's like.
Oh man!
I mean, am I the only one who got that vibe when like he's sitting there, like Connor's out doing God knows what in the Scottish Highlands, and Ramirez is sitting there with Heather, and they're drinking wine and whatnot? Do you not see her getting a little too, just kind of drunk and like they get a little frisky and stuff? I mean,
well, he did tell the Kurgan it was his woman.
Right, I mean, it like, but again, like Connor, like with Sean Connery, of course. You need me to go for a couple of days? All right, I'll be back on Tuesday. And he just goes off, and I don't know.
Let's be honest. If any of us were sitting next to Sean Connery and we've had a couple glasses of Chardonnay, he started making eyes at us.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, right?
It's Sean Connery,
right?
It's a pass.
You're at least going to consider it, right? You're going to sit there and be like, well, okay, maybe.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, he's amazing in this movie.
All right. Yes, no, I completely agree. Highlander.
And thank you for letting me take that, everybody, because I was like, Highlander.
I didn't want somebody to be a jerk and take it before you got it, so I let you have it first.
It would be Kevin. If anybody would do it, it'd be Kevin.
Sure.
Yeah. We still haven't forgotten that backstab on the beach trip, sir.
The literal backstab.
Yeah. Literal backstab.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So, Kevin, why don't you go? What is your favorite, or if Highlander was your favorite, what's your second favorite?
Well, I'd have to say Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Because for me, growing up, I didn't really grow up with the James Bond movies. I didn't get into Highlander until high school, probably. So, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, that was really my first exposure to Sean Connery, as it were. I may have seen him in a James Bond movie, but I probably didn't even associate the two like as being the same person at that point in time. But yeah, he is just so good in that. And Harrison Ford is amazing. Anything he's in, he's going to be stealing the scenes. But then you got Sean Connery, like Sean said, nobody's stealing the scene from Sean Connery if he's there. Just some of the best lines, he's like, well, I was human as the next man. Or my favorite, when they're in the plane and he shoots the tail and he's like, I'm sorry, son, they got us.
So good.
Yeah, it was definitely epic. And that's, for me, that would be like quintessential Sean Connery when I think of him. And then later I found more of his movies. You showed me, what is that? The Lion and the Wind?
No, the Wind and the Lion.
The Wind and the Lion, okay.
Yes.
Like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wind?
No.
Okay. Yes. He's like, do you play checkers? I prefer chess. Better.
Yes.
Yeah, so, which is the only line I remember from that movie. But
he is good. Well, but that's another thing, though. He is so good at one-liners. Like, in almost all of his roles, Sean Connery has got, like, these great lines that he throws out there that are so distinctive and just stick in your memory. It's like, like going back to Highlander, it's like the whole thing of haggis. What is haggis? And Connor tells him what it is, and he's like, how revolting,
Yeah, I think what it was is he was able to set up the joke, so he just had to say the punchline. Like when, he shoots the tail off the bird and the airplane in the Indiana Jones movie, and you see him go, oh, and then like do a quick take to see if Indiana Jones saw it. Nope, he didn't see it.
Right.
They got us.
They got us.
So you could see all that working in his head, and that was just what made him, his really good. That's what made him like a really great actor. Is that.
But again, can we also point out the fact that in Last Crusade, right, there's that moment where they go, how'd you know she was a Nazi? She talks in her sleep. Sean Connery gets all the ladies, right? And even Harrison Ford's like, well, that's my dad. I get it. Like, yeah. I mean, like across movies, like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like,
and it wasn't even like gross, Dad. It was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like resignation, right? Like,
my dad, Sean Connery. I mean,
yeah,
that's why he's annoyed at his dad.
Yeah, the chemistry between Ford and Connery was great in that movie, and like Kevin said, like in most movies, Harrison Ford would be the guy that we're just raving about, you know, and he's great in Last Crusade, but like Sean Connery, like just goes in there and he's like, this is my movie now. You know?
But you know why it works so well though, is because, you know, he still plays Indiana Jones. He gets all of his great lines, but then you get to see him one-upped by Dad.
Right.
And it's you get to see what makes Indiana Jones small, which makes, you know, of course, Sean Connery's role as senior as even more epic and more just kind of over the top, because he has these moments where he's a penitent man, he's a very religious man, and then he's just like, you know, down and dirty with the ladies, you know, and then he's like just lying flat out to his son because he shot off the back of the damn plane. And I mean, like, the dude has these arcs of just, he freaking takes down a damn plane with birds while quoting Charlemagne, for crying out loud. I mean, let's be fair here. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to be peak Sean Connery to even close to eclipse the awesomeness that is Indiana Jones in those movies. And that dynamic was just so freaking great.
Yep.
Yeah, Indiana Jones. Yeah, Indiana Jones is the epitome of charisma and sex appeal, and just you need somebody who can one up him, who can still have the sex appeal but play his father when and Indiana Jones isn't young in the movie at this point. So yeah, you got to go with Sean Connery.
It was also his ability. What I liked in that movie was he was a little goofy. He was not like, you know, James Bond. You know,
Very
it wasn't
true.
the typical like typecast that he got cast in a lot. He was kind of goofy. He made mistakes. He tried to, you know, hide the truth from his son. But, you know, he was just like a regular person, but still awesome. I don't know.
Well, yeah. It's definitely a lot of the same things that they put in with the Indiana Jones character too, is he was a fallible hero. And so it was kind of, again, you could sort of see Henry Jones Sr. as, you know, oh yeah, this is where Harrison Ford comes from, you know, because they're very similar in a lot of ways. So yeah, that was very good. And that's a good choice, Kevin. I like that.
Thank you.
All right, so Nate, what is your choice?
I'm gonna pick the Sean Connery movie that gave me my. He said there's a line he says in this movie that got me into doing my Sean Connery impersonation, and it is Dragonheart.
Ooh, nice.
You know, I am the last one is just so iconic, and that was a great movie. You know, Dennis Quaid played a dragon slayer. He goes to find this last dragon, voiced by Sean Connery, and they decide to team up and go around and sort of con villages into paying them money to get rid of a dragon. And I just think it was I really liked it. It was funny, and the part where the dragon cuts his heart in half and gives it to a kid, it's pretty cool too.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, no, that's one that, yeah, I've heard of quite a few people mention that one, that you know, even though it's a voice role, right, for Connery, you know, that's like, again, it's so iconic. His voice is so iconic. Like you hear that voice and you're instantly like, Sean Connery, you know. Nobody else does that accent. You know, it's like it's not the typical Scottish accent you're used to hearing, and it's so distinctive. And yeah, no, that's another good one.
So Nathan, I want to give an honorable mention out to a movie though.
Okay.
And you guys can go, if you have Disney Plus, you can all go watch this. It's not a hard lift of a movie. It's actually one of his earlier roles, Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Oh yeah. Yep.
If you have never seen this movie is freaking fantastic. Sean Connery actually plays a supporting role of this, but basically it is just a story about a man by the name of Darby O'Gill who claims to have encountered the king of the leprechauns, and his daughter is becoming an old maid. I think she's supposed to be like 18. He's like, you're going to die an old maid. Darby is going to be removed from his job as a groundskeeper, and the new groundskeeper coming in will be Sean Connery. And basically Sean Connery is this guy by the name of Michael McBride who essentially is going to come in. He's going to take over Darby's job. He's going to marry Darby's daughter. And Darby's kind of okay with it, but the only thing Darby wants to do is prove that he actually did meet the king of the little people. So it becomes this adventure of he's got to go into this mountain, and it's really crazy. And it's more about this guy and these little leprechauns, and the special effects in it still hold up today. But the reason why you want to watch this movie, it's one of the few times, I think if maybe the only time, where you actually get Sean Connery flat out singing a damn song. Like, he's in a musical number where he is singing at the end of this flick. And if you've never seen Sean Connery in like peak, like early 40s hotness, you know, we're talking straight up Bond era, just doing a damn ditty. You owe it to yourself to watch this movie. It's an enjoyable film. Watch it with your kids. It's a fun time. It's got some cool scares too. So, you know, we're still kind of in the fall season and whatnot, but then boom, you end with Sean Connery singing a damn song. And it will crack you up in the best possible way. And honestly, I think that's one of the greatest tributes you could do for the man, is just to watch this moment where he's not really known as a singer and he just belts it out. So,
on a personal note, the song he sings, "Pretty Irish Girl," is my wife sings that as a lullaby to my kids, because her mom sung it as a lullaby, and she got it from this movie too. So that song he sings is actually sung a couple of times, but at the very beginning of the movie,
right,
he's singing this song, and it's a great song. It's a great little, I don't know what you call it, but
we'll call it a ditty. How's that?
It's a great ditty, a great little Irish ditty.
Seriously, but if you've never seen it, it's totally worth your time. It is
I've never seen it. I've never even heard of it. So.
Oh my gosh,
I just heard about it like 2 days ago. And that's the only reason I ever heard of it. So
let's get away from the Sean Connery moment of this for a second, because again, he's awesome in it. This movie's special effects, it's all done optically the way they did The Hobbit, where they basically do forced perspective camera shots, where they lock down the camera so they could have two people interacting, but they look like they're side by side, and they're able to get these actors who are in full on what you would think of the Leprechaun when you think of a leprechaun at 18 inches tall, talking to full-grown adults, and it is seamless. It works.
And what year did that come out?
1963 or something? No, I'm sorry, 1959.
Yes, this is before he did Bond.
Yeah, this is before. This is a pre-Bond. You know, this is a pretty young Sean Connery. I mean, but this movie holds up. The movie's special effects were so good that Walt Disney felt that he owed it to the special effects department to thank the King of the Leprechauns for volunteering to be in the movie, as a nod and a wink to saying, "You guys did so well. People will think this is real." And the special effects really do hold up. It's really solid. If you've never seen it, seriously, go watch it. It's dated because, again, it's from the 50s and the early 60s. But I promise you, 2 minutes in, you won't care. Like, this movie rocks.
But yeah, I wanted to give my shout out really quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Sean Connery. And I wanted to mention a movie. Kevin already brought it up, but it's a movie that most people haven't heard of because it's in that gray period between like Highlander and when he stopped doing the Bond movies, where like, you know, because most of Connery's like biggest hits are like Highlander later, or it's the Bond movies. That's the stuff people think about. But he did a movie in 1975 called The Wind and the Lion. The most insane role to pick Sean, I mean, other than an Egyptian Spaniard. And in fact, this might be why they cast him as Ramirez, is he's playing a Berber, which is a North African Muslim character in The Wind and the Lion, which I know, casting somebody that's not, you know, it's a white European guy, but
it's a different time.
Ignore that for a second. It's a different time. He does not play it as some kind of caricature or anything else. He's going for it super serious. And this is a guy, basically this happens in the 1908 because Roosevelt's having his election in America. So it's 1908. And this is a real event in history that happened where this guy, the Raisuli Ahmed something, I'm sorry, I don't know the whole name, but like kidnaps this American woman who's in Morocco. And basically it's out of protest of the fact that the European powers, because her husband was British, were basically messing around in Africa and trying to control things that were happening there, and you know they were sick of it basically, and so then the Americans got involved though, because this woman was an American citizen, and this whole thing where like the French are sending troops into Morocco, the Germans are sending troops into Morocco, the U.S. is sending troops into Morocco, and it's very weird because of how topical it kind of is to a lot of the situation that we see now, like between like, you know, the West and the Muslim world and whatnot. And it's a really well done movie. Like I say, Sean Connery is just perfect in it. Plays the character in a way that you see him not as like, oh, this is like some evil kidnapper or whatever. It's not that kind of a thing. It's like, this guy totally has a point. Like the things that he's doing and the reason why he's doing it. He makes the character very charismatic, makes him very interesting, where, like Kevin's saying, like this woman he's kidnapped, they're playing checkers together and stuff. It's like, chess. He's not treating her. Oh, that's right. No, chess. And he's not treating her like badly while she's there. And he's basically tells her like, yeah, if they don't meet my demands, I'll just return you. It's like, but I don't have to tell them that. Stuff like that, where it's like, and he's just really cool. I love that role. I love Connery's portrayal of it. And it's Candice Bergen as the woman, by the way, the woman that he kidnaps. So yeah, I love that movie, and I think it's fantastic. I think that people should really give it a try, because it teaches you like a little bit about history, but also something that kind of makes a point that's kind of valid today too.
It teaches you about Stockholm Syndrome.
oh, that's mean, Kevin. You're like one of those people that thinks Beauty and the Beast is about Stockholm Syndrome, aren't you?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. I think it's I think it's kind of clear we all love Sean Connery. And yeah, I mean, he is a great actor. He's one of those actors where it's like they're very rare because of just how many different kinds of things they could do and just how magnetic they were on screen. So it's kind of a shame to hear that he passed, but I did think it was good to give a moment to just sort of reflect on him. So.
But hey, I mean, if you're going to die, I mean, die in the Bahamas in your sleep, like a boss, right? I mean, the man died the way he lived, just bossing it at all boss levels.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, at least it wasn't like an untimely thing or anything else. Right. I mean, he lived to a ripe old age, so that's good for him. And yeah. All right. Well, that's the end of our not quite 5-minute controversy segment.
Good night, everybody.
But yeah, we're going to head on to talk about Gargoyles. But before we do that, let's have for promo for another fine podcast.
Well, the colder temperatures have finally arrived, and that can only mean one thing. No, that was the last promo, but it still means monsters. This is Jim from Monster Attack, reminding you to join us every week for a discussion on some of the great monster movies that impacted us throughout our lives. New episodes drop at 5 p.m. And remember, Monster Attack is a proud member of the ESO Network.
1,000 years ago, superstition and the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was the age of gargoyles. We are defenders of the night. We are gargoyles.
And we're back. And like I talked about at the top of the show, we're talking about Gargoyles. This is not the Sean Connery podcast, even though we can kind of run away with ourselves a little bit. But yeah, so Gargoyles, for those who don't know, is a cartoon, an animated series that came on in 1994 as part of the Disney afternoon segment that Disney used to run, where they would just put 4 to 5 different animated shows on during the afternoon. It was syndicated, so it got picked up by different stations, different networks around the country. So depending on where you were, it might be, NBC in one place, Fox in another, etc. But yeah, first thing that I wanted to ask about this is just because of the fact that it was unusual, it was syndicated. I'm curious if we all kind of saw it the same way, like, did we see it at the time? Did we see it, later on? Like, kind of how did you approach Gargoyles in the first place? So, Kevin, I already know your story, but nobody else does. So how did you, and I can't remember, did I introduce you to Gargoyles? This is the part I don't remember. Did I introduce it to you, or did you already watch a few, and then just because you were missing them because of being in band, that I would start taping them and watching them with you?
You know, I have a Swiss cheese memory, Nathan.
Right.
I have no idea. I just remember watching it together.
Okay, yeah, no, we definitely watched it together, but yeah, I would tape them because
yes, you taped a lot of shows.
Right, yeah.
Yes, he did.
You probably have whole storage units filled with VHS tapes.
Anything that I have DVDs of now, I've thrown out the old tapes. So Gargoyles, I do not have those old tapes anymore. But
but you see, you got rid of all those old commercials too, man. You could go back and
I know.
You could have like a total nostalgia fest. Like, you know, you could show it to like your kids, and they go, well, "What are all these old commercials?" That's what I used to have to watch between,
yeah. Come on, Dad, we want to see the Crossfire commercial again.
Yeah, there was the commercial. Man, there were so many commercials on those tapes that I remember. But anyway, because I watched them so often. But yeah, so okay, yeah. But you were watching at the time with me, so that one I know already.
Yeah, and I mean, how old were we then? Like, what year was it? Like
14. We were 14. It was 94.
Okay, so we were pretty much the target demographic, or maybe slightly older, but young enough to really enjoy it.
Right. Sean.
Yo.
How did you experience Gargoyles?
Well, actually, I experienced Gargoyles because of my parents. They had heard about it. They were really big into Batman the Animated Series when that started, and as soon as they saw the promos for this, they were like, "Okay, this looks like Batman. We really liked Batman. Let's watch this too." So I remember, if I remember correctly, didn't they do like a special premiere of it when it first came out?
Yeah, the 5-parter, which I actually missed originally, was done as like a special premiere. Yep.
It was like a special premiere, and I remember my parents made it a big deal. They recorded it. We watched it live. I remember the 5-part premiere being a big deal in our house. And then I remember it became syndicated, and so we started getting episodes here and there. But you guys, we all grew up in the same town, the three of us, and it was not the most consistent running schedule. You know, you'd miss an episode here or there, things wouldn't, you'd miss a day, you'd not catch it. So I caught parts of it. And then it was a couple years later, I was talking, I think I was a freshman in college. I was talking to some folks, and they said, "Yeah, you really should go back and watch the whole thing from beginning to end." And that was about the time Nathan was like, "Sean, I got tapes. and so you handed me the tapes, and I was able to watch it from beginning to end. And I mean, I've always been a fan of the show. And it just, over the years, it's just become, one of those perennial great episodes. So it started with my parents. I caught what I could, but I really got a chance to sit down and watch it because you lent me your tapes at one point. So it's a little bit of everybody. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. And Nate, what about you?
I think for me, I got into it because I had heard about it because there was people from Star Trek Next Generation were going to be voices.
Yes, it was basically the Star Trek actors relocation project.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so many Star Trek actors were on the show. And that's what really drew me in was Jonathan Frakes and all those guys. So, and I just started watching it, and I just never gave up on it. So,
yeah, very cool. And so was that at the time when it was just starting?
Yeah, okay. I watched it from the beginning till they abruptly ended it.
Right.
4 seasons, I think.
Well, 3. Yeah. Well, technically it's 3 seasons. Or well, it depends on if you want to consider that 3rd season to be a spin-off show that's separate, or if you want to consider Disney Plus considers it as the 3rd season, but it has a different name because it's called Gargoyles: The Goliath Chronicles. So it's basically whatever you wanna consider that, but. We'll talk about
the Goliath. Consider it at all.
I'm sorry, what, Kevin?
I said I don't consider it at all.
Right, yes. Well, the funny thing is Greg Weisman, who created the series, he doesn't consider that season canon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first episode could be canon.
Right, yeah. He wrote or co-wrote the first episode, and then like Disney basically said your services are not required. And I don't know what went down and why it went down. It's probably him protesting them, like sort of like dumbing down the show. But yeah, basically he was fired, and so yeah, he says like that first episode is canon, and then the rest of it isn't.
Yeah, I started watching it, and I got a few episodes in, and I was like, wow, the quality is really tanked. And I thought, well, maybe it'll get better. And then I saw the title of the next episode, Broadway Goes to Hollywood. And I was like, never mind. We're done here.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about the Goliath Chronicles next. We're already starting. All right. So here's because I want to start with, why do we like the show? What got us into it before we start talking about the third season? So Nate, let's start with you, because I don't think we've started with you yet. You talked about the Star Trek voice actors, so I'm assuming then that you were, a fairly big Star Trek fan. But beyond that, once you got into the show, was it just watching it for the voice actors, or what grabbed you about the show, and what did you appreciate?
I think what I liked about it was, I was really into science fiction and fantasy. Mm-hmm. And so it was that right combination of, the fantasy background, but there was still magic. Like they had the Phoenix amulet and the amulet of Oberon and the magic book. So it was still like the magic, like you could still do magic. And then also, Jonathan Frakes' character, Xanatos, he had like power armor and laser guns. And so it just hit for me on all those levels. It's like, it was a great mix of both.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Xanatos is kind of funny, because if you think about like what Tony thinks of, what Steve thinks of Tony Stark in the first Avengers movie, that's Xanatos. Like, he's that guy, that completely amoral, like, like, I'm just out for me, but also, like, super smart, can invent anything, kind of character. So, yeah. No, that's good. That's something I hadn't thought about. When you think about shows that blend the sci-fi and the magic, it's like, you've got Gargoyles, and then you've got to look back to like Thundar the Barbarian to find that, like, before that. And that's a pretty big gap as far as like years.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else where they. I mean,
you have
listeners write in, tell us.
I mean, you have Thundercats, but I mean.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're kind of magic-y, psychic.
Yeah, but I mean, like me trying to say Thundercats is on par with Gargoyles, it's just that is a false equivalent. So I hesitate to even mention it. This is not really a fair fight. Like, Gargoyles wins this fight. So
yeah, that's like me saying Silverhawks. I mean, it had a little mystical element, with
right?
Guy, and then but that's like a rip. It's like a rip off of Thundercats. So yeah, way down the food chain.
Kevin, you're making me like cry a little tear that somebody else remembers Silverhawks.
I love Silverhawks.
I love Silverhawks. Nobody else does.
Okay, first off, you know what? You're all forgetting tiger sharks, and that is offensive, okay? Out of the trilogy of anthropomorphized animals, you have Thundercats, you have Silverhawks, and everybody forgets freaking tiger sharks, okay? So don't at me, bro.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'm just going to make the controversial statement. I prefer Silverhawks to Thundercats, and then we're going to move on. All right.
No, that's a good one. Monstar is a much better monster. But anyway,
I think so. Yeah, anyway.
All right. Monster.
All right.
He was terrifying. I was like a young child in the 80s, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, Monstar's awesome.
Thing.
And he rides a freaking Cthulhu octopus in the middle of space. I mean, come on! Like, Monstar's dope, dude. Like,
yeah, see, like, Monstar is like if General Martok chose evil. That would be Monstar.
You know what? He really does look like General Martok.
I know, that's what I'm saying. General Martok, and I'm like, it's Monstar. What in the world? Yeah. All right.
Monstar. Yeah, General Martok as a cartoon is basically Monstar. Yes, that is absolutely what that is. But anyways, back to Gargoyles.
All right. So, Kevin.
Yes.
Other than the fact that I would come to your house and be like, you've got to watch the next episode of Gargoyles, what drew you into Gargoyles?
For me, it's the fact that it seemed like a little bit above the standard children's cartoon, that it had adult material in it. You got people dying. You actually kind of have genocide sometimes. You've got backstabbing. It had a lot of stuff you wouldn't see in normal cartoons for kids. So at least when it is what I consider peak Gargoyles, because there are some filler episodes, but when it's operating at like peak capacity, it was definitely a cut above the rest.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I always consider there to be like this sort of like progression in the 90s. Like, it started with Pirates of Dark Water, And then, it kind of went into, and I mean, I say the next step is X-Men. People chide me because of Batman. Batman was kind of like on a different path. So like, to me, the progression is Pirates of Dark Water, then X-Men, then Gargoyles. I'm not saying that Batman the Animated Series isn't great and wonderful. Maybe animation-wise, Gargoyles is a little bit of the DNA of Batman. But I think from like the storytelling perspective and what they were trying to do, that's like the progression. Because X-Men also toyed with like, interconnected storylines with, darker themes and all that kind of stuff, the same kind of stuff that plays into Gargoyles, and also, of course, the whole thing of like, racism, which is such a big theme in both of those. But yeah, Gargoyles was such a cut above everything that came before it. Like, I see a progression, but Gargoyles is still head and shoulders.
Yeah, and just that first episode when, I guess it was episode 2, when Xanatos wants the castle moved, and Owen's like, well, the locals say it's cursed. We can't get them to touch this. And he's like, you know the answer to that, Owen. Pay a man enough, and he'll walk barefoot into hell. Mm-hmm. And we're like, whoa, they said hell.
Oh, right, yeah.
On a cartoon.
Yeah, this is on Disney Afternoons, people. Like, it was there along with, like, DuckTales, Chippendales, Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, and then Gargoyles. Mm-hmm. So yes, definitely. Like, I mean, I would love to meet like kids who are much younger, who are watching, the DuckTales, Chippendale kind of stuff, and then like what their reaction was, because I think we were all like kind of in our teens, when we saw Gargoyles, and I'm kind of curious about like, whether little kids were scared by it, like, whether they thought it was too much, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So Sean, what hooked you into Gargoyles?
Well, I mean, we were talking about the fact that, Gargoyles was just different than everything else that was out there. Mm-hmm. And it's true, I mean, for me, it was the next big production that used what they call the Atlas method of drawing. The Atlas method is basically what they did with Batman the Animated Series. That was kind of like the flagship of it, which is why I always draw parallels, because those are the same animation styles. Whether or not
visually you're completely right.
They are dead on. But narratively, they're completely different. I mean, Batman is very much just an episodic. It is not serialized at all. Whereas Gargoyles is extremely serialized. To the point where there's stuff in like those first 5 episodes that you watch as like a movie that don't pay off until technically there's only 3 seasons, but I always consider season 2 to be 2 different seasons. There's like part 1, part 2. But when you go through all that, there's stuff that doesn't pay off until like episode like 60. And that is a long way to plan out it on a show that could have gotten canceled after, the first, 12 or 14 episodes that they did in that first season. 13, yeah, those first 13 episodes. I mean, that you could have easily kind of just pooched it and not paid off some of these really great Easter eggs that, when it comes back and you watch the show from the beginning, you're like, oh my God, they really did set that up all the way at the beginning. And I've always appreciated that. Nathan and I have talked about this on many different shows over the years and in our private conversations a lot, which is when people have the audacity to shoot big and actually make the shot, that is always the more impressive end game. Because it requires a confidence in your storytelling ability and the confidence that the audience will be there. And frankly, there's not a lot of people who want to do that. Most people, they write their stories to be fairly self-contained, maybe in a season. They might tease out one little thing that can be continued on for season 2 or whatever, but it's never this kind of stuff. I mean, you could look at things like Babylon 5, same kind of thing, right? Those are the creators. And then you can look at something like Deep Space Nine, same kind of genre, same kind of writing, excellent writing in Deep Space Nine. They never took the swing that like B5 did or Gargoyles did, where they're like, okay, like episode 1, you're going to see something we're not going to pay off till like season 4. Like, that is a ballsy move, And that was cool.
To be fair, we're calling this season 1, season 2 of Gargoyles. Right. Season 2, it went week. So like in season 1, it was just once a week. It was just on Fridays. Right. Season 2, it was all week long. All 5 days a week. There were episodes.
And it's like 50 episodes, right? It's like
52.
52.
It's a lot of episodes. Yeah.
Right. So when you add those together, that's 65 episodes, which was a standard animated show runtime in those days. So it's a full show, even with 2 seasons.
Right. But the other thing I was always thought was really interesting about Gargoyles is, just like Kevin said, you know, they said hell. They also showed people using more realistic guns. Before they did the re-edits, there were actually bullets instead of lasers. And there was also the literally the after school special episode where what's her name?
Elisa.
Elisa, she actually gets shot, and then that actually matters. Like she's down for episodes, and kids were shown you can't play with guns, and if somebody gets shot, they're not just going to bounce back up like Batman or Superman or somebody. Like, this will hurt them.
Right.
And
there are several consequences that come from that. It's not only the fact that she's shown to be incapacitated for several episodes. She's forced, a partner is forced on her.
Right.
The story-wise, there's a new character and something that she doesn't want because it's somebody she has to hide the gargoyles from.
Right.
And second of all, well, I mean, this is less of a story consequence, more of a thing. Like, they show her locking up her gun in a few scenes afterwards. So, like, they're also showing that this is the proper way, if you have a gun, to take care of it, not to just leave it out, you know, like she was doing before. So,
and I think that's the thing that I thought was really interesting with Gargoyles, was that it never talked down to the audience. And you can go back to looking at the, you know, people like Mr. Rogers, or, you know, I mean, really anybody who takes the time to talk to children and say, we're going to tell you a story that's going to be sophisticated, it's going to have nuance, it's going to tell you something, and we're not going to dumb it down for you. I always find that to be the stuff that people never forget. You know, I mean, say what you will about how Disney handles, you know, a lot of the fairy tales that they adapt, those original Grimm fairy tales. They still have meat on them. They still matter, you know. And granted, now most Grimm fairy tales are also exceptionally dark to a degree that I think is probably overcorrecting. But at the same time, you know, if you find a middle ground through there, there is something to be said that kids. And I don't say this to be mean, but I think as a child, you need to know what the world can give you as far as hope and also as far as fear. You have to kind of get all the balance of it. You can't just show them one side of it. And I think shows like Gargoyles that can safely, responsibly say, hey, if you see a gun, that is a dangerous weapon. And if you use it, somebody could get hurt and they may never get back up. That is a smart, intelligent thing that also scares the living crap out of kids. And if you don't believe me about this stuff working, let me tell you something. I remember in this era, there used to be an after-school special, cartoon that would happen. Does anybody remember the drug PSA with Snake in it? Does anybody remember this?
Oh, very.
You can Google it.
Yeah.
You can Google this, okay? So if you guys remember this is probably like 93, 94, so the exact same time that you would see this on Gargoyles, or on, you know, after school cartoons that Disney block that they would run, you would get this commercial, and it's just this guy in the street, and he hands over a package of something over to another guy, and he goes, yeah, I'll see you later. And he starts talking like, hey, I'm your friend, Snake, blah, blah, and he keeps talking, and every once in a while he'll walk behind a car, or he'll walk behind like a light pole, and every time he does, he starts to become more and more monstrous like a snake. And by the time he finally gets really close to the camera, he's like this fully, you know, just kind of demonic looking serpent man, and he's like, would I ever lie to you? And it's a you know, it's a scared straight, don't, you know, just say no, you know, anti-drug commercial. Scared the living crap out of me, and I was like 16 years old when I saw this thing. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. This is like some Nightmare on Elm Street crap, you know? I mean, like I mean, this thing was like, seriously, Google it. Like, it's on YouTube, you can find it. But that would be a commercial that you would see in between like Snackables and Batman and stuff, and Gargoyles. I mean, it's intense, but that stuff sticks with you.
Yeah. I think the point on Gargoyles is that it was dark without being gratuitous.
Yes.
You know, you didn't see like limbs flailing, and you didn't see like lots of gore or anything, but they let you know people died. They let you know people were severely injured. There was blood, you know, stuff like that. And so they showed things, but, you know, not to a degree that's too extreme, but they did allow kids to see violence actually happen, and you know,
and you know what else they did that I thought was, but you know what else is really good about this show is that it also showed the consequences of death. Death was not something to be taken lightly. Like, I mean, those first 5 episodes are the Gargoyles coming to terms with the fact that they're the last ones of their species, or at the very least of their clan.
Right. You know, they believe themselves to be the last of the species.
Right,
yeah,
you know, and their entire clan, you see their clan get wiped out at the beginning of the show. They're literally crumbled into dust because it's daytime and the humans turn on them. And it's a horrible thing. I mean, these are the last 5 surviving members of this clan, and it's brutal. And this show never shies away from showing kids the dangers of violence. You know, it's a central tenet to the story because, you know, in cartoons, violence tends to get the story going, but it also shows that there's a consequence to it. You know, you don't throw your kid brother or sister out a window because you think it's going to be fun. That could kill them.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, that's a very good point also. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of my interest of it. I loved the long game, and I loved the payoff, and I love the fact that, you know, I mean, I taped them because that was the thing I was doing with all the shows that I loved at that point. I also taped X-Men and some other ones too. But on rewatch, it's a show that you could get more out of it. Like, you start seeing those things that, yeah, by the time we got to the end of the second season, I might have forgotten some of the things that were actually paying off from the beginning. But then you just rewatch the series again, and you start going like, oh crap, like I didn't realize that line here actually like paid off like here and stuff like that. So you know, it was a show that was very deep. It was very well put together in a way that they were thinking ahead and laying seeds all throughout it, and I'm still very impressed with how well. I mean, I'm impressed when a show for adults does that.
Yeah,
for a kids show, that was unheard of at that point. But the other thing, the thing I'd bring out that no one's touched on yet is how well fleshed out the characters were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the fact that they pulled off Gray in a way that I don't think kids shows ever have, in that, you know, Goliath is arguably our main character. You know, he's the leader of the Gargoyles, but Goliath isn't like, hey, killing's wrong, friends. You know, he's not any of that like super above everything kind of. Goliath's got issues. Goliath is a man that is driven to passionate rage, you know, at times. I mean, he makes a comment at one point when Damona's just going to straight up kill a guy. He doesn't say like, hey, Damona, killing's wrong. He says, look, this guy's already defeated. That's wrong. He's like, killing's fine if it's in like in self-defense or whatever, but it's like, this is wrong. And so it's like he has an honor code, but he's not like a, you know, like a no killing kind of character, which I thought was interesting. And Xanatos, who in the beginning you would think, oh man, this guy is the evilest of the evil. But as the show goes on, you see that he's as nuanced and has as much range as any of the characters in there, that he's not a guy that just like hurts people because he likes to be, you know, like because he likes to hurt people or hurt gargoyles or do whatever. Like, he's at sometimes an amoral character. He's a character that's kind of fixated on himself, but he has people that he loves. He has his own, you know, ways of doing things and caring and whatnot, that, again, it's just like they flesh out these characters so well to give them range and nuance. I mean, Hudson, I absolutely adore Hudson. Mm-hmm. You know, just because of the depth of that character. And he's presented as just the grizzled warrior, but then you find out there's things he's embarrassed about. There's things that he doesn't want to admit to the clan, stuff like that. And again, it's just really well done.
So Hudson, one of my favorite lines of his, when Goliath, I think it's, what is it? Long Way Till Morning, that episode. Goliath's injured. Hudson has to help keep Goliath safe, and Damona just keeps coming at them, and then Hudson's going to make a stand, and Goliath says, you can't face her, and he says, I can face her, I just can't beat her. Yeah. So he knows he can't beat her, but he's going to do it anyway because it's the right thing. It's what he needs to do for his friend.
No, that's a good point. It's funny because that's an episode that I don't usually care for that much, but you're right, that moment is great. I love that moment in that one. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like it's funny. Gargoyles is a show that I think was absolutely fantastic, but they're like 2 or 3 episodes that I just don't care for whatever reason. And it also seems like they're the episodes that they spent like less money on, because if you watch Long Way Till Morning, it's like the B team came in to do the animation. I don't know what was going on in that one, but it's just like, for some reason, just like it's poorly drawn, and it just, I don't know. Somebody watched The Fugitive and got some ideas, and they were just kind of I was like, wait, you're ripping like whole scenes off of a movie here. Come on, people, you could do better than this. But
one thing I wanted to say about Hudson too was, you know, his story arc of having to learn to live with all the war that he's been through, and he meets that Vietnam vet.
Yeah, Robbins.
Yeah, and he was blind, so So he didn't know Hudson was this, monster. But they get to talk about, having to, I don't know if they really get into PTSD really, but that's what they were talking about, is how to live now while still acknowledging the past. And also it was voiced by the great Ed Asner. So
yeah,
that's
Hudson.
another reason.
Yeah,
it was such a great character because the voice acting.
We talk about like, oh, there's all these Trek voice actors. It's more than just TNG, even though it was primarily TNG. They had all 4 Star Trek shows at that time represented by somebody. But the voice cast just in general was fantastic. You got Ed Asner as Hudson. You've got Keith David as Goliath. Yeah. You've got Tim Curry as Dr. Sevarius. You've got John Rhys Davies as Macbeth. I mean, it's just like all these A-list actors are coming in to give performances on the show, and that's part of why these characters are so well done. I mean, the writing has a lot to do with it.
I had no idea they had so many famous voice actors when I watched this. I mean, I knew about the Star Trek ones and John Rhys Davies. Honestly, it was normally you that would tell me who was doing the voices.
Right. I was obsessed with John Rhys Davies because I was obsessed with Macbeth. I became obsessed with John Rhys Davies at this, in the 90s. So yes.
Yeah, I didn't know about all those, and I certainly didn't know about all the guest stars. But now, as an adult watching it, and I would recognize voices. Like we've been binge watching, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know if you guys have seen that show. Yep. It's really good, really well done. So it's the episode in Egypt. And I was like, that guy sounds just like Tony Shalhoub. I was like, no, it can't be. I looked up the credits. Yes, it was Tony Shalhoub. It was the guy in that one.
I had no idea that was Tony. So even I'm still learning about people who were in Gargoyles.
Yeah. And then like the first episode, Hack On, I think, is Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown, yep.
But then we got to the pack, and I was like, wait a minute. I swear Wolf sounds just like Clancy Brown, but it can't be. I was naive. I didn't realize they reused the same actors for multiple voices. But yes, Clancy Brown does multiple voices.
Well, yeah, because they thought Hagon was going to be like a one and done. They didn't mind recasting Clancy Brown as a different character. But then they started to go like, it's interesting that they have the same voice. So then we get the idea of Hagon's.
He's descended from it.
Yeah. And Wolf is his descendant. And you get, an episode about that. So, he gets to play both parts.
I'm actually a little disappointed that nobody brought up the fact that Bronx is voiced by Frank Megatron Welker. The dog is Megatron, people, okay? The dog is Megatron, okay? Seriously, like, come on, like it's oh Lord. And also, this is actually something else. You want to talk about something funny? Is the fact that Frank Welker also did basically the voice for Fred in the Scooby-Doo series for like 30-something years. So at one point, he was the leader of a dog pack. And then the other time, he was the dog. And in the middle, he was a giant overlord robot. So, I mean, that's just winning on all levels.
Well done, Sean. Well done.
You're welcome.
So,
yeah. And LeVar Burton was in an episode.
Yeah,
too.
well, so
Nancy.
Right, because he was the one I didn't recognize at the time. Because all the other Star Trek actors, as I was watching the show, I was like, oh, that's Uhura. Ooh, that's Cisco. That's, And so I caught everybody else. It wasn't until later when I was looking at IMDb or whatever, and I saw like, oh my God, LeVar Burton was the Nazi. Because they treat his voice, they distort it when he's playing an on-sea, and so I never caught that was him. But yeah,
well, Kate Mulgrew was Tatiana.
Titania, yep.
Well,
yeah. Okay.
So the thing I liked about Gargoyles was that I was also really into Shakespeare at the time. So all the Shakespeare and Oberon and Tatiana and Puck and Macbeth. And all of these old stories were like actually were written into the show that they actually happened. And I just thought that was really awesome. Oh, also the Weird Sisters.
There's actually a line that the Weird Sisters give that they say all things are true. And Wiseman has used that line before when responding to Gargoyles fans, that basically like it's like all myth is real. You know, like that was sort of like the way that they approached the show. And it's the first time that I've seen that. You know, obviously things like Once Upon a Time have dealt with that, or The Librarians, you know, more modern shows that are, you know, for adults. But Gargoyles was the first place that I ever saw this sort of idea of, no, we can play in all the sandboxes of all the different myths of the world. And that actually brings me to one of the questions that I wanted to ask, which was, like, what was there any like particular fiction or thing that you watched on Gargoyles that you really like glommed onto? Like, what was your favorite thing that they pulled out of either pop culture or myth and played with that you were like, oh, that is really cool? So let's start with you this time, Sean.
Well, I mean, we already kind of talked about it. Nate was talking about the fact that the pulling from Shakespeare is great. And my favorite Shakespearean play has always been A Midsummer Night's Dream. That is by far my favorite Shakespearean plays. Sex, drugs, and fairy magic. What more can you want from a freaking play, right? And I've seen that production so many times. I think I've seen it in person live, I think 8 times. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you ever sat through a Shakespeare play that's 3.5 hours long. That's a lot. But it always goes by way too fast for me. And I love it so much. So the fact that they brought in not only these characters that I love, but really, you know, just paid a great wink and a nod to them. And then, of course, they bring in Macbeth. I always thought was just such a great nod to the fiction. But one thing I thought was really great about Gargoyles was not only would they focus on story myths, but they would also focus on the various kind of tweaks of story mything as well. So, you know, if you had a gargoyle from the East, it would have its own, you know, like you said, the myth would be relevant to people from the East. If they had gone and they'd seen the South American gargoyles, you know, which they did, you would have a South American slant to them. Everything would have its own slant that would make it culturally appropriate for the region that they were in. And that always, I cannot say how much I appreciated that. But if I want to take the one thing I thought they did that was better than anybody else when it comes to, wow, this was such a great meta moment, is the naming of the gargoyles. Where they decide that they're going to take their names from New York City. So everybody gets to start naming themselves. So, you know, you get Brooklyn and Bronx and Hudson and everybody. And I love that. I thought that was such a great little moment. And, you know, it's just such an easy thing to do. It feels so natural because they never had names before. And since they're no longer in this feudalistic society, there's only the 5 of them left. They're like, we should all have names. Why do you get to be the only person with a damn name? And so they take on names, and I love the fact that they even give the dog a name, right? Like even Bronx gets a name. I mean, I love that. I thought it was just such a great way to differentiate themselves because that's how humans do it now.
That was another great Hudson moment. He's like, why do I need a name? Does the river need a name? Like, yeah, it's called the Hudson. It's like,
and he's like, fine, I'm the Hudson then. Yeah, it is.
Good enough for the river.
Yeah. Ed Asner, right? I mean, seriously, Ed Asner plays the same character in any cartoon, right? He's the same guy in Up as he is in Gargoyles, right? Like, it's the same guy. So
he's J. Jonah Jameson in the Spider-Man cartoon, too.
Right? He's the same dude. Right. But, yeah, I love that. I think that's probably my favorite moment. But, yeah, like I said, I mean, Nate nailed it with Macbeth and with the Shakespearean references. That was perfection because they never once tried to dumb it down. They just went straight into it and they said, nope, that happened. And I love that.
Well, I like that you bring up A Midsummer Night's Dream because you know, like people normally focus on Shakespeare as a drama writer, right? You know, there's a lot of tragedies and things like that, but like Shakespeare's hilarious. Like if you ever like watch productions of his comedies or read them, like as long as you understand the jokes, he is hilarious. And so, yeah, A Midsummer Night's Dream, perfect example. Actually, my 9th grade English class, we actually acted it out. And that was a ton of fun, you know, and having the character of Puck, you know, he's not in it often, but when he's there, he is always like great. Voiced by Brent Spiner. You know, Commander Data from Star Trek, and so yeah, like he was my daughter's favorite character when we just watched it together, and yeah, no, that's a really great, you know, It's a really great pick for that.
Yeah, the only other thing they could have done that would have been better is if they'd have found a way to bring in like the Tempest or As You Like It, or even the 12th Night. If they'd have brought any of those in.
People have brought up the Tempest and and Wiseman has always said, like, if I ever get a chance to go back to this world, like basically vague things like that. Like he's like there were plans in place for that. So
yeah, the Tempest seems like the natural conclusion. And for those of you who have never read Shakespeare, the Tempest is basically about an island where a wizard and his daughter are there, and the modern world comes encroaching onto their territory. And it's essentially the idea that magic is now the lesser power because science and logic starting to take over. So it is the last gasp of magic, essentially, is what this is about, and what it means to let go of things and how to move on. And it's accepting death. It's accepting, the passage of time. It's really sad, but it's also really, really poignant. But it is also extremely Shakespeare.
Yeah. All right, so Nate, what's the fictional thing that they played with in Gargoyles that you really appreciated?
I really liked the Avalon story.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean that 3-parter, and they found Goliath's daughter, which, talking about layers later, creates a bond between Goliath and Xanatos later when Xanatos has his son. And they're like, well, we're both fathers, so I understand. And they have that bond, and that's when Xanatos becomes less a bad guy and more sort of on his own side, but he's willing to work with the Gargoyles. Anyways, but the mists of Avalon and the eggs that were protected there, and all of that was just, I love the how they kind of tied in the Weird Sisters and the witches from Macbeth in with King Arthur and then all of those different layers there. I really liked that. Was probably the thing that really got me, because I was also reading I remember reading Once and Future King right around this time, and I was like, oh yeah. So it's just, to me, everything was just like this cartoon just like tied up Shakespeare and Arthurian legend and laser guns. So
well, it's so fascinating because Avalon becomes such a major part of the second half of season 2 because it's sending them on missions, and we never really get the payoff for those missions. Like, we don't know exactly what Avalon was trying to set up, but I have theories for what season 3 would have been if Wiseman had his way, because there's several things that happen during those trips. The main one is that it seems like Goliath and Elisa are going to all these places, and in a lot of them they're setting up heroes, right? Like they reform Dingo, they get those Panther people, set up in Africa. We've got Cuchulainn in Ireland, and all this stuff happens where they're setting up all these different like heroes around the world. They're also they are getting some of Oberon's children, sort of like giving them their marching orders and telling them
right.
Stuff's moving on and you got to get out of here. But then the third thing, the very interesting thing, is we go to Easter Island. And we find out that the Eastern Island statues are based on an alien that's been living there for centuries. And he's talking, yes, played by Avery Brooks, aka the Cisco. And my thought is that, because he's talking about there's some intergalactic war that he's been waiting for to come to Earth. And I am convinced that season 3, or if not season 3, season 4, like they were playing another long game of setting up the war comes to Earth and they need allies all over the planet. And so like King Arthur, because King Arthur was talking about how he had to like gather his new 12 knights, where Griff was the first of those. And Macbeth said he wouldn't be a knight, but he would be like an ally. And just stuff like that, where it's like, it seems like they're setting up like either some kind of like Avengers of the Gargoyles world or something like that, where eventually, like King Arthur is going to be like, hey, everybody, we got to like band together and fight something. And it just seemed like the invasion threat was probably the thing they set up that makes the most sense. So anyway, I'm kind of digressing here, but I've had a lot of time to think about what
I don't know. I like the idea of Goliath walking through a portal that Oberon has made, and he walks up and there's King Arthur all messed up and there are aliens all in front of him, and he's like, gargoyles forever, and like all of a sudden people start coming out of portals and stuff, and you just have like an end game moment. I can see that. I can totally see that happen. Just gargoyles flying out. I mean, yeah, I can totally see that.
Puck's disembodied voice on your left.
Right, seriously, I can see this happening. I think this is completely working.
Yeah, and then like the Japanese gargoyles, and Coyote comes through, and and
then they say, what, you wanted more? And then like some animated golem comes skewing out of the ground, because
cold steel and cold fire.
Yeah, and then of course all Xanatos' Iron Man armor starts showing up. Seriously, why hasn't this happened? Like, they need to make this happen now. Gargoyles needs to have an in-game moment, and we need to have this happen. And Avery Brooks is like, oh crap. It wouldn't be Avery Brooks because he's on that side, but that's the twist. He's the bad guy.
Yeah, he said there was an intergalactic war. He didn't say what it was over.
Right. Yeah, he's the Darth Vader. We don't know.
Right.
Well, now thinking about it, I think if they would do, I think it'd be really cool if they did like Ragnarok. Along with the Vikings. And doing the Viking. End of times and that's what Oberon was doing, was in all these different places and different timelines, was creating enough heroes to gather to fight Ragnarok for the final battle.
That would be interesting too. I certainly wouldn't say no to that.
Yeah. Cold Stone. Can we talk about Cold Stone? Because
I love their ice cream. Sorry, you set me up. You set me up. I had to. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on. Can we just put a pin in Cold Stone really quick? Yes. Because Kevin hasn't said what fictional thing that they set up that he was, that he enjoyed the most.
Well, first, since we were talking about King Arthur and Griff, and that ended Macbeth and King Arthur, they did the hero handshake.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I know you, Nathan, know what I'm talking about. Any kind of show like that with any mythical warriors, I don't know why, but that's how they shake hands, and we love it every time.
Yeah, where they grab each other's forearm instead of actually grabbing each other's hands. Right, yeah.
Right. The way when somebody's falling from a cliff, that's how you should grab them to catch them. Don't just grab their hands, and then you're just holding on by the fingertips. We've seen it like 100 times in movies. Painful every time. Do the hero handshake, people.
Thanks for that safety PSA.
Yes.
Do the hero handshake, save a life.
They needed that PSA episode. They had one on reading. They had one in gun safety. We needed the hero handshake PSA. I would say probably for me, I did not grow up reading a lot of Shakespeare and King Arthur. I was a big fan of mythology, and I really enjoyed the New Olympians episode. I wish we got to see more of them because there were a lot of cool ideas there. Seeing all these mythical creatures, the Minotaur and whatnots, and then the way they had this advanced technology. So again, it's like this fusing of magic and science in just such a cool way. Honestly, they were kind of like Wakanda, where they're just hidden away from the world with advanced technology, and they don't want to interfere or be interfered with.
Interestingly, Kevin, I always thought of them as the Inhumans.
Actually, they are. That shows Inhumans.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's funny. Wiseman has gotten annoyed when people compare the characters in Gargoyles to various Marvel characters, but there's a lot of parallels between a lot of different things. Cuchulainn is like Thor. There's a lot of parallels to be drawn. But yeah, no, the New Olympians, that was another great one. And again, showing there's all sorts of crap going on in the world, and all these different mythologies sit side by side. And even though a lot of them have to do with Oberon's children, there's other things where it's a lot of the Greek mythology was based on these creatures that, actually existed. They had centaurs and minotaurs and changelings and all that stuff in the world at one point. And then they just decided to pick up and leave because humanity were jerks. Like they always are. Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting, and how we're used to the gargoyles being discriminated against, and instead in that episode it was Elisa. They're like humans.
She knows what she did.
She needs to, she's going straight to jail because we can't have a human walking around, even though like everyone there is way more powerful than she is. But they are not hearing it. They're like, no, she can't. Well, they were afraid she would leave and reveal.
Right. The real fear was that she would leave, and that was the thing they didn't want because, they didn't want like all the humans in the world to like descend with their armies and stuff. So yeah.
Right. I don't know why anybody would believe someone that sounds like a crazy person saying they met a minotaur. But,
right. A magic boat sent me to an island where there were minotaurs and cyclopses and all kinds of stuff.
And there was
just Easter ask my gargoyle friend.
Right.
He's a statue right now, but I swear.
Did I mention that King Arthur's real?
Yeah, we met Coyote in the desert. We weren't on drugs,
was cool.
I swear. So that was a good episode. And also, as far as modern myths, I don't know if this counts as a myth, but I liked all the Illuminati stuff that was sprinkled into the show. Let's see. I loved when they went back in time, how the organization was still around then. And not only that, but David Xanatos gives them a message. Like, he's like, hey, I want you to hang on to this for 1,000 years and then give it to David Xanatos. And they're like, sure. Or it's the coin. Yes, because he is a self-made man, as he tells his father. One of many examples of paradox in the show. We can get into that later. But yeah, that was cool. And then the touch I really loved was it the wedding episode? Anyway, they refer to Xanatos as being one of their lower echelon members.
That one, that was on the one where Bluestone is doing his Illuminati investigation. He actually meets oh crap, I forget his name, but it's Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. does the voice, but he's like this really old Mace Malone.
Yes.
Malone, yes.
And so David Xanatos, this billionaire, this like the most powerful figure in the show for the most part, and then he's a lower echelon member, which was great. Also, that Hotel Cabal. What is up with that? That place is nuts. No, well, they're like, what is it? It's supposed to break you down, like mentally, like it's going to drive you crazy because you can't get out of it, and you got these traps, and then it's a way to break a person down, and then you'll do whatever they want. And every room is a death trap. Can you imagine reporting into your supervisor and they're like, has the prisoner talked yet? It's like, yeah, about that. The first room he was in, the floor was acid. Right. So he's kind of dead.
So I thought about this, and I had to figure the only thing was they like upped the ante because they knew they were getting a gargoyle. And so, like, normally it isn't that deadly, but they were like, oh, yeah, it's a gargoyle, so you'll be able to get out of this stuff. So we got to, like, make it a little more, lethal.
Yeah. It was very lethal. But, yeah, I noticed when it was Mace Malone stuck in there, then it was, like, much more tame. Like, he opens a door, and it's just a brick wall. It's a fake door. And he's not, like, falling into a pit of spikes or having the walls compacting in on him or anything insane like that. So yeah, there must be like a difficulty. They can adjust the danger.
Right. It's plugged into an SNES. You just choose what level you want.
Right.
Yeah, they put Goliath on like level 7.
Yeah. They put him on the Rockman level before you could get the appropriate weapon, and you know how that goes.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, for me it was Macbeth. I mean, Macbeth, I just thought that the character was so compelling. It got me interested in the play. I was a little familiar with Shakespeare at that point, but although I'd heard of Macbeth as a Shakespeare play, I didn't know the play until after I had seen the character in Gargoyles. And again, a really interesting way of just tying together the things from that play in with this greater storyline that they were doing and taking elements from different things and putting them in there. And I'm still so impressed by the City of Stone storyline where we get all that backstory with Macbeth and Damona because of how well they were able to make it part of Gargoyles, but also keep a lot of the elements from the original Shakespeare play in there. And that was a really moving story that they were able to do. This is a cartoon, a weekday afternoon cartoon. It's not supposed to like make you like tear up while you're watching it, but it does. It's that powerful. So yeah.
I like how he aged like 30 or 40 years and nobody said anything. Like his people, they just rolled with it. They're like, it's cool.
Well, I mean, they kind of skip time every time. So, I mean, I assume when he first went back, people commented on it. But then, like, the next time we check on them, it's like a couple of years later or whatever. So I'm sure they've gotten used to it by that point. But, But yeah, okay. So Nate, you were talking about Cold Stone. I'm sorry for pausing you there, but
it's okay.
What do you want? Because that was another thing I wanted to talk about. Like, what were your like favorite characters or characters like you really wanted to talk about? So I mean, yeah, go with Cold Stone.
Cold Stone for me was sorry. I've been sitting on this. Cold Stone was that merger of magic and technology that I thought was so cool, and that's what I liked about the show. Is it there was magic and technology, but Cold Stone was like, he was Goliath's brother, but that was killed 1,000 years ago, and they put him back together with robot parts and became like a cyborg gargoyle, and then you find out later that he's got 3 souls inside of him. Mm-hmm. And he takes off and he just keeps coming back every once in a while. They'll bring him back in and they'll fix him up. And then eventually at the end, we find out that there's like 2 good souls and 1 bad soul. And they put each soul in their own body. Mm-hmm. And Cold Steel is the bad guy and he takes off. And so Cold Stone and the other soul, Cold Fire, say, well, it's our job to take care of them. And then they take off and then they never come back. Mm-hmm. And they were like the coolest characters. For me, I was like, I really wanted to see him come back, and I'm wondering if it was, because all these other things that paid off later. I really, really want to know what the payoff for Cold Stone and Cold Fire and Cold Steel eventually was gonna be, because cyborg gargoyles.
Yeah, because that was the episode right before the final 3-parter, which was Hunter's Moon. So there was no time for them to bring them back later, because they had just done that as like a new change. And that's one of the things I appreciate about the show was the fact that they were willing to change the status quo. And say like, okay, we've sort of been playing with this fact that like Cold Stone is insane because he's got 3 different minds basically merged in one body and they're all fighting for control. And then, okay, well, let's change that up now. Now let's give them like 2 of them their own robot body and leave the original, character in his own body, but cyborg. And then see what happens from that. It was like, yeah, I want to see what happened from that, because we just know that they were chasing Cold Steel and we don't know what happened.
Yeah, it was just so, and it was, he had, he did hacking, he got a computer virus, just his whole story I thought was really interesting, and they, and it kind of just got dropped there. I guess because the creator and Disney couldn't agree on where the story was going to go next.
Yeah, and that's another character voiced by a Star Trek alumni with Michael Dorn, right? Worf, and he was so good as that, as a gargoyle. It's like, oh, if you could pick a Star Trek character who should play a gargoyle, Michael Dorn.
He was also the Minotaur.
Right, yes, he was Taurus in the New Olympians. Yep. But yeah, no, yeah. Cold Stone, yeah, he was so interesting. And then the fact of like the idea, they kept playing with the idea of, well, if this is science and magic, like how would a computer virus affect a being that also is like composed of magic as well? And so then you have that whole like sort of virtual fight that they have to have with the virus and stuff like that. So I mean, they played with that a little bit, definitely. So anyone else have anything to say about Cold Stone?
Yeah, I do. I mentioned my Swiss cheese memory before. I was convinced, I only remembered Cold Stone being in the 1 episode. So when he sank in the river, and I'm like, that's the end. That's the last we ever see of Cold Stone. It's like, will he appear again? Nope. That's it. He doesn't come back. And he comes back like 4 or 5 more times. And I was like, oh God, I don't remember any of it. And it's some of the coolest stuff in the show too. Like Nate was talking about the battle and this mental landscape, all that stuff was great. I totally forgot about it. I just remembered him sinking in the water, and that's the last we see of him. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and that one gets for such a fun beginning too, where Xanatos is like totally like digging, like doing like the Frankenstein monsters cliche.
Yeah. It's alive. Yeah. It's alive. He's like, I always wanted to say that.
He's even got the old.
Damona's just looking at him like, what?
He's even got like the old toggle switches for like turning the power on. Like he could have afforded something way better, but nah, I just want to make it like the trope. So. Oh man, love that. All right, so Kevin, is there any what character in Gargoyles would you, if you had to talk about just one character, would you like to mention?
Man, well, Macbeth. I mean, every time he shows up, he steals the scene. But I feel like Macbeth was your character.
I can talk about somebody else. If you want to talk about Macbeth, it's fine. You can take Macbeth.
No, actually, I'd like to talk about Damona because she's what's her name? Marina Sirtis?
Yeah, Marina Sirtis.
Counselor Troy. So we know her from Next Generation, and she's just the sweetest, nicest character in that show. Like she never, like she rarely raises her voice, or she's just like this calming presence, and it's just so much fun watching her, the actress, just having a blast playing Damona, just being just a straight up villain. Like very few redeeming qualities. Actually, I made a note when she appears for the first time in modern times, when Goliath thought she was dead. It's like, my angel of the night, when she comes back. And I actually wrote, I felt so bad for Goliath because he's just so happy when she comes back, and he immediately gets stabbed in the back afterwards. But yeah, she is so great. And she does end up having a little bit of depth. I love when she does the City of Stone thing, and they have to get her access code to get into the, I don't know, the satellite, the broadcast, whatever. Her access code is alone, because she's just for 1,000 years almost been completely alone. This while we're talking about her, the City of Stone, one of my favorite. Was that probably a two-parter?
It was a four-parter.
Four-parter. Okay.
It was a four. Yes.
But yeah, that's the one where I don't know what there is with the rules with killing people, because you'll have a cartoon, you're like, oh, we don't want to kill anyone, and then these humans turn into statues, and it's like, oh, well, they're not people anymore, they're just statues.
Yeah,
and she just
running around,
walks around smashing them with a mace, and there's very little mention of that. They just kind of gloss over it, but we are very aware she just murdered. Who knows?
Well, I mean, the Gargoyles see the pile of rubble, and they say this is just like the massacre at Castle Wyvern. So, I mean, the Gargoyles comment on it, but you're right. There isn't a lot of comment later when the humans wake up, and they're like, what's going on? Where are they? But of course, they don't know the piles of rubble are really people. They'll just think they're missing persons. So.
Well, there was one lady, we see her break the arms off. And the rest of the statue is just still standing there. And I still wonder, what happened? If you just have an arm broken off, do you turn back without those limbs? Or are you unable to change back? I don't know.
You start bleeding out.
I really want to know. This keeps me awake at night.
That one is messed up. That one in particular is very messed up.
So that if it's broken off, it's just broken off. It doesn't, like, what do you do? Super glue it back on, and then magic does it. I mean, it's broken off. It's just you don't have an arm anymore. Yeah.
Right, but like, can they still like change back if there's like if you broke off a gargoyle's toe, are they done and they don't change back, or do they change back without that?
I imagine without it. That would be my guess.
So I'm like, how much needs to be broken off before they won't change back?
Right, because we saw that the ones that were completely like broken up into just like rocks, like there was one that still had its head. Because we see Damona pick up the head of one of the gargoyles, and it's still stone, even though it's night. So, yeah, at some point, the damage is so severe they don't turn back. But, at what point is that?
I don't know where the cutoff is for that. And
this is like one of those experiments that you hear about somebody did like 200 years ago. How much blood does the human body actually need before you just fall over dead? Like, you need to, this is Kevin's weird science brain working in the medical profession. Okay, so if I break off 2 arms and a knee, is he still going to turn back? Like, well, okay, so 2 arms, a wing, a beak, and an ear. Okay, he turned back. Okay, so next, what about the genitals? I mean, come on, man. Like, come on.
I do. Well, I always wondered when I was a kid watching the show. So they turn to stone. Like, they don't grow a layer of stone. They just turn to stone. But when they turn back, they burst out of this layer of stone. So does that mean they're slightly smaller every time they break out? Because they shed a layer every time. So I wondered about that as a kid. The funny thing was watching it with my wife, and she actually mentioned that after a few episodes in. She's like, so would they get slightly smaller each time? I'm like, I know, right?
I actually have an answer for this, and you're not thinking it through. No. Cement contracts as it dries. So think of them as drying cement all day. They're going to be slightly smaller at the end of the day. So when they go back to when they burst out, the reason why they're bursting out is because they're going back to their normal size. They may drop like half an inch or something. So what you're seeing is them going back to normal size because over the day, the statue has slowly kind of condensed in on itself like cement would as it's drying.
Okay, so it's there's growth back to normal size that bursts out of the soil.
Correct.
Yeah, they're rehydrated.
They're rehydrating, exactly.
Well,
hydrate, people. Drink more water.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm glad we got a conclusive answer.
There we go. Science has now conclusively proven that magical gargoyles re-expand to their normal size.
Yeah, but
Ant-Man's got nothing on us.
I did love Demona. I love seeing Marina Sirtis getting to play a villain like that. Also, they would conveniently forget about her being immortal sometimes. There's an explosion, the gargoyles, is she really dead? Well, she's immortal, so I'm gonna say no.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Really dead.
He's gonna get up. It's fine.
She's getting better.
It's getting better. But yeah, things like that.
I always think about poor Macbeth, being somewhere halfway around the world, and suddenly Demona takes a lot of damage, and he feels all of that pain. And he's just walking around, and suddenly, oh God, I'm on fire! Oh God, and people are looking at him funny, what?
He's just brushing his teeth, and suddenly.
Sometimes he's just looking at the sky. Yeah, he's just looking at the sky going, why?
Yeah, well, certainly once she started changing into a human every day. So now she goes through this painful metamorphosis twice a day. So, yeah, that's got to suck for Macbeth. But again, that was one of those things, it's when it's convenient for the plot. Because in the episode in Paris, there's times when one of them gets hit and then the other is writhing in pain, but then she knocks him unconscious. She hits Macbeth over the head, he's unconscious. Shouldn't she have fallen unconscious too? So
Kevin, go to your grimoire, and bitch slaps don't count. Okay. That is magic 101. Okay. If you gotta bitch slap the person that your soul is split in half with, it doesn't count. It goes both ways. If he's pissed off and he bitch slaps her, it's the same thing. All right. You know what that is? That is just called the equilibrium of magic. You gotta give a little on something.
All right. Okay? So it's funny, Kevin, that particular thing my daughter brought up too. And so my explanation was that Demona has a higher constitution than Macbeth.
Right.
So she felt the same pain.
Yeah.
Right. She felt the same pain on the back of her head, but she was able to retain consciousness, whereas he wasn't.
See, there you go.
Well, and she was the one doing it, so she was braced for it, so to speak. When you're the one driving and you brake real hard, and the passenger's like, "Oh God," but you're fine because you were expecting.
I mean, she's been doing it for 150 years, so
right.
I think she's figured it out by now. She's been bonded to him for 150 years or whatever. So
way longer than that.
Yeah.
So she's figured it out by then.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining that that's a comedy show, right? The early years of Macbeth and Demona. Like she slaps him in the back of the head, they both pass out. Like that right there is comedy gold. You know, like they're just trying to figure out which way. Like imagine like the first century, like just so they know all the bad things they could do to each other. It's just like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, right? Like they just continually find ways of killing each other, and it doesn't work.
Like what if he eats some bad takeout,
right?
And he's get like stomach pains. Does she get stomach pains? She go like, "What did you eat?"
Yeah, she gets the bubble guts, awful. Man. Yes, she gets bubble guts just like anybody would. So there you go.
But to Kevin's point, what I really liked about Demona, because I mean, as far as like, you know, because I was talking before about how many like gray characters are in the show and how they're really good about painting the spectrum. Like Demona's pretty far over on the evil side, you know, like because she's like the character that's advocating genocide. You know, just about every episode that she's in. That's her thing. She wants to kill off every human. But what I really appreciated, though, is that they did give us City of Stone to give us a background for why she is the way she is. Like, how messed up her life has been. You know, how she lost a clan, she adopted a new clan, lost that clan, and even though it's been her own bad decisions that have kind of left these things, to keep herself sane, she's had to convince herself that it was always somebody else's fault. Because otherwise she would just like break under the fact that like it's her responsibility, like it was her fault that both of these bad, you know, horrible events happened. And that's the thing, like every time like somebody talks to her about it, like she almost hesitates, like, what have they done? Like, she's got to convince herself it's somebody else's fault. And I love that. And I love the fact that they at least tried to get into the fact of, you know, what brings somebody to this rather than just presenting her as, well, she's just evil.
Yeah. They definitely show just, like, the price of revenge, that she's dedicated herself to this and just brings misery on herself. And then it kind of comes full circle in the Hunter's Moon, where Goliath briefly becomes obsessed with revenge, and it just nothing but bad happens. And the funny thing is, like, Brooklyn sees it so clearly, because like even like Demona's like, Goliath, you finally become a true gargoyle, and it's like everybody else is like, oh boy, this is bad, and like Goliath is just like, yeah, revenge, like we got to do this. It's just like, oh man, and it culminates with the hunter, like the one hunter jumps in front of the other one and gets or he jumps in front of Goliath and gets shot. And his brother, he's like, what have I? And then he stops, and then he's like, what have you done? And he's like, for a second, he was about to take responsibility, and then it would be too painful. So instead, he just pins it all on. And that to me is one of the big disappointments that we never got, like Wiseman's continuation of the series. Is I wanted to see, now that there's a human also who's just as messed up as Demona, like how is that going to play out? Especially like now that humanity knows that gargoyles are real, and I definitely wanted to see more on that. So. And by the way, that was the single most unbelievable thing in the whole show to me is that the hunters managed to pass down that mantle for 1,000 years. Because any of us with kids know how hard it is, where we're like, this is my favorite show, I want you to watch it. And they're like, nah, it sucks. Or, you know, like, hey, I play the drums, do you want to play the drums too? They're like, nah, that's lame. Like, it's so hard to get your kids to, you know, they don't want to follow in your footsteps necessarily. How did they keep that up for 1,000 years? What is their secret?
I feel this so hard, Kevin. You know, I was so excited, and I'm still so excited that Rachel watches Star Trek with me, because after years of me trying to get her into Doctor Who, Star Wars, like all these other things that I really love, I've just given up. I'm like, fine. She likes The Flash, and that's going to be like the one thing we have together.
Hey!
And then it was like suddenly I'm watching Star Trek just for myself, and she's like watching it with, like, she sits down and starts watching it with me. I'm like, wait, do you like this? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, we have another thing.
There's so much to show you.
You know what, Nathan? I'm going to give you a piece of advice on this one. And the piece of advice is this. Show her Doctor Who, but show her the new stuff. I promise you'll hate it, but she'll love it. And then that way you can feel what she felt when you were showing her the old stuff, and then she'll give the old stuff more of a chance. And maybe you'll actually come to appreciate the new stuff.
Maybe, but I mean, people say stuff like that, but it was the original Star Trek that she started watching with me. That's what got her hooked on Star Trek, was the original. So I don't know that it's the oldness that like is turning her off. But
let's be fair here. Rachel is absolutely a Bones McCoy stan, okay? Like, she's not into Spock, she's not into Kirk, she's into Bones, okay?
No, she's into Spock.
Well, big surprise. But everybody, hell, I'm into Spock. We're all into Spock. But no, I always like to think of Rachel more as Dax, right? So, Dax was all about Bones and Spock and whatnot. So I personally think that's why she's there for it. She's there for the what was it when it's guys beefcake? She's there for the beefcake. So she's there for sciencey beefcake.
Yeah. No, you don't know Rachel.
I know. I have to say it.
Her favorite characters so far have been Spock, Data, and Odo.
You know what? That is incredibly consistent, and I can see exactly why.
And so I think the Doctor will be her favorite character in Voyager, because that's just the progression.
Oh, right? I can absolutely guarantee you the Doctor will be. If those are her 3 first picks, the Doctor is going to be up there at the top. Yes, definitely.
She loves the outsider character.
Definitely. Or you never. Thing. You know what? She might go Neelix on you. You don't know. I know. We see. We all collectively. Don't do that.
No, I don't want this.
So we're talking about gargoyles, right?
But Kevin, no, I totally hear you on the whole. I actually had that passing thought this time too, of like, how do you get that many generations to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hunt this thing that I'm not even sure is real, but Dad says it is, kind of thing. Because they only said only a few of them ever found her. Like, they're hunting her, but like not all of them even like had a fight with her. So it's like,
so they have like a 200-year stretch where it's the demon is just a myth,
right.
Well, they went and killed other gargoyles.
That's true. She did say that they hunted off the last ones in Scotland. Also, yes, you're right.
So they had some. They're like, we know they're real. Mm-hmm. We're still looking, but the one.
Right. The unkillable one, ironically.
Talk about a fool's errand.
Right. All right, but Sean, what is it, unless we've taken it already, but what is your favorite character from Gargoyles?
Actually, I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to my Gargoyle famous character. I mean, Goliath is of course a great character, and I love him. But the one that I've always gravitated towards is Brooklyn. I've always been a big fan of Brooklyn, and you know what? In the great pantheon of storylines, Brooklyn is not a very meaty character. But I love his design. I've always loved, he for me looks like the most gargoyle-ish out of all of them. And I love that. I love that he's got like that crazy rock and roll mane of hair, and he's very cocky because he knows he's number 2. He's going to be the next in charge of the clan. And I like the fact that he has kind of like that cocky swagger to him, and of course it gets him into trouble over the show. But I think the thing that always stuck with me with Brooklyn is the fact that he's also incredibly loyal. He has his moments. As we know, but he is incredibly loyal, and he is incredibly angry over the betrayal that Demona has with the clan, and he can never really let that go. And one of the things I thought was really interesting was you have that moment where he's thrown into the Phoenix Gate for a second, and he comes back out, and it's been 40 years for him. Do you guys remember this?
No,
that's. I think you're getting something from the comics. Because
from the comics, right? Like, do you guys?
Oh, okay. No, I've never read the comics. Unfortunately, I've heard of this.
My God! Okay,
I've heard of this. They're like $200 on eBay now if you want to buy.
Yeah. Them, okay. So I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I thought we'd all read the comics too. I'm sorry, my fault. So basically, they continued the story, and they introduced this idea of the Phoenix Gate. And I'm not going to get into the whole rigmarole, but apparently the original idea behind this was there was going to be a spin-off show. That they were going to try to get off the ground. It was going to be called Phoenix, and it was all dealt with this thing called the Phoenix Gate. And at one point, Brooklyn is dropped into it, and he basically is gone for 40 years. And he comes back, and it's only a split second for everybody else, but he's been gone for 40 years. And you find out that in this this larger pantheon of the story, he lands in like 1970. And so he actually goes and finds Demona because she's obviously the only one who's around right now. And he basically introduces her to Xanatos, and he's the reason why the castle is brought over. And he has his own kids. And he eventually has his own family and whatnot.
With Demona?
No, not with the. Oh God.
No, it's one of the Japanese gargoyles.
It's one of the Japanese. He goes and he finds one of the Japanese gargoyles. Yeah, hold on. Give me a second. Now I gotta go Google.
Wow.
Yeah, but he actually has his own kids and whatnot. Let's see here. He does get a new dog, which because he has a Japanese wife, he names the dog Foo Dog, which is just peak cringe, but also at the same time beautiful. Yeah, he has one kid is named Tachi, and the other kid is named Nashville. So they keep the city name thing going.
Nashville. Ugh.
Nashville. But yeah, if you've ever seen the designs for him, just Google Brooklyn Phoenix Gate or Google Post Phoenix Gate, and you'll see this design. He's like in armor, and he's got like this eye patch. He looks wicked, dude. He looks amazing. And I really just like the fact that, you know, he never really had a chance to shine in the TV show, but from what I've been able to understand, this was something that they wanted to do. They wanted to kind of take it down this rabbit hole and see what else they could do. Because Greg Reisman, like, this was where he wanted to go with it, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the comics, he said before that the comics, even though there weren't many of them, I think there were maybe like 3 like 6-issue arcs is what he did that have been collected in graphic novels. But
right.
But yeah, he said like these were things that he wanted to do with the actual cartoon.
Yeah,
that's why I tried looking for them, but then I saw that they were $200 a pop on eBay, and I was like, yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, they're god awful expensive. But yeah, basically the Phoenix Gate is this. It's another Avalon artifact. So just like the Mist would take a Goliath around where he needs to be, the Phoenix Gate is this artifact that allows him to move through time and to change things and whatnot. But yeah, there's this really cool thing that happens with Brooklyn, where basically Brooklyn, like, he becomes the very thing he kind of hates, because he understands why Demona got together with Xanatos, why they did what they had to do, and you discover this 40 years that he was missing, you know, basically because of this, has given him a whole life. And his perspective on Demona goes from, I hate this woman, to, I get it. And I always liked that about the comics. And again, I'm sorry, I thought that my brain just rolled into it without even thinking about it. So that was my fault, because I like Brooklyn, and I heard that they did something cool with Brooklyn. So I hunted these issues down. But it's pretty cool. If you guys ever get a chance to catch that, I don't even know if it's digital. I don't know if anybody has a digital version.
No, I've looked. There's no digital copies of it. And it might be because of licensing issues, because I'm sure Disney is like, hey, no, you know, like...
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Disney doesn't want to do anything with the Gargoyles property, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Except put it on Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, well, because it's already made. But I'm just saying, like, but they're making new content for Gargoyles.
They really need. Honest to God, they really need to. It's pretty spectacular. I mean, the entire damn show is just it's ripe, like just ready to go. And I guarantee you, if you introduce Gargoyles, even if you started from, you know, episode 1, you know, day 1, and started the story over again, if you brought back Weissman as the main creator, I think that it would absolutely be a crazy hit for Disney. They just have to have the gumption to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially with Disney Plus as a platform, because the problem back in the day was that it was syndicated. So depending on your market, like, even though in Columbia, South Carolina, it was shown on 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so that's a relatively decent time, you know, when kids can watch it. I know in some areas it was shown like in the mornings and crap. You know, in some places it was shown at like 2:30 in the afternoon before kids are even out of school. You know, like, depending on your market, like, you might not have gotten Gargoyles at a convenient time for older teen. You know, because this show really, it's not for little kids, right? It was for the teens up. Definitely. You know, that was more of the age group they were aiming it at. And so, you know, if you didn't live in an area where the time slot was good, you might have completely missed it.
Right. If you didn't have an obsessive friend who recorded it all as VHS.
Right. Well, because sometimes I was gone too. So yeah, I set the VCR to record it every day so that I, you know, made sure that I had it, you know.
Yeah, you were one of the few citizens in America who knew how to program their VCR to do that.
So wait, when it's on Channel 3, do I have to keep it on Channel 3, or can I watch something else? No, you can watch something else. That's from City Slickers, if nobody knows.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the other thing I thought was always really cool about Brooklyn, and I found this out years later because I listened to a Dan Weissman interview, and he was talking about the fact that Brooklyn's original name was going to be Nick. Does anybody know about this?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
no.
He was before the birth of Goliath. There was going to be Brooklyn was going to be the main character. He was the first gargoyle that they had kind of envisioned, and so he was going to be the leader. And they were bandying around the name that his name was going to be Nick. And I'm just like, Nick the Gargoyle. That was going to be your guy. That was your heavy, Nick the Gargoyle.
Yeah, I do know, because I did hear Wiseman say once that it was the trio was the original idea of the Brooklyn, Broadway, and Lexington was his original concept. It was going to be more of like a Gummy Bears sort of tone to the show. Like who these three silly, gargoyles living in New York. And he said one day he's just doodling. And he doodled Goliath. And he said, this is completely different than what I was envisioning. But he said, the whole show, shifted as soon as he, doodled Goliath as far as what it was going to be like, what the tone was going to be.
Yeah, and honest to God, that was the best decision he ever made. I do not want to see Nick the Gargoyle. I want to see Brooklyn. Yeah, absolutely. But I just think it's hilarious that Brooklyn was the original kind of idea, and his name was Nick. And I'm just, I can't say it with a straight face because I'm like, Nick the Gargoyle. Okay. Ooh. So there you go. Seriously, Nick's the guy who's he's the lead singer in your garage band, right? Which is kind of what Brooklyn looks like. So am I lying?
Well, I love it when they get Lexington to make a motorcycle, and Brooklyn's just oh yeah, I just put on a jacket and get a helmet and some shades and I'll look just like a human. Forgetting the fact that his mouth protrudes from him half a foot. Everybody will just accept me. It'll be fine, Yeah,
it's fine.
But yeah, he's definitely going for that aesthetic.
Yes, but that's what's fun with him in the cartoon. In the cartoon, he's just so laissez-faire. He loves the 20th century. He loves everything about modern times, and he doesn't understand why he can't be a part of it. Which I think is kind of one of the sadder things about the Gargoyles is that they want to be part of the world, but they're not allowed to. And again, I just like that. And maybe it's my own weird kind of fish out of water thing. We all, we all grew up, like I said, together. It's always a little weird. You're part of the world, but you're not because you're maybe that geeky kid from the 90s and stuff. So you never quite feel like you 100% belong with them because it's just you're a little off. Yeah. And I don't know. For some reason, I always felt a very strong kinship to Brooklyn. I felt like that's me. I'm the guy who's like, yeah, I'm awesome and I'm amazing. Everybody goes, you're a weirdo, dude. I'm like, that's true too. Let's play. So I don't know, but for me, it's always been Brooklyn. I'm a big fan. So
yeah, no, that's very cool. Yeah, for me, Kevin already said it. Macbeth. I became obsessed with Macbeth from the very first episode where you don't really learn a lot about him. He just shows up. He first knows who Xanatos is. He knows who the Gargoyles are. He just shows up and it's what is this normal human going to do? And then he's hitting them in pressure points. He's using, Aikido to throw them around the room. He's doing all this crap where it's yeah, he's a human, but he's obviously studied gargoyles for so long that he knows exactly how to hit them, how to use their own strength and weight against them and all that kind of stuff. And it was just this guy is amazing. And then with the whole thing of learning he was the one that named Demona, and then you're instantly clued into there's some backstory here, which would explain why he studied gargoyle. What is all this? And so then you finally get to City of Stone and you learn about all the horrible things that have happened to him. You've learned about, again, it's the same reason that I kind of glommed onto Highlander as a kid. The idea of this guy who's sort of forced to walk the earth, outlive his family, with this extra element of he's now bonded to the person who betrayed him, and this guy that gets to a point of that now he's just so sick of it that he just wants to end it. And the only way to do that is for him to kill Demona. They have to kill each other. That's the only way they can die. And just the sadness and the tragedy of that. And honestly, we talked about Shakespeare already. It's one of the things that I think is so amazing about Gargoyles is that not only does it pull in all these myths, it's able to straddle the whole spectrum of Shakespeare from the comedies to the tragedies. Right? It incorporates all of that. You've got the silly characters like Puck. You've got comedy episodes that are just some lighthearted fun. And then you go to full on, this is a guy who's, had to live through watching people die. There's some really brutal deaths in City of Stone. We talked about the statues, but there's a point when the Weird Sisters give Macbeth this magic ball that he then throws at the king that causes him to catch on fire. His eyes burn out of their sockets and he pitches into a pit. And it's just like the most horrific death that I've ever seen in like a weekday afternoon cartoon. You know, it's just like terrifying.
You just ripped open an emotional scar. Like 20 years ago, I cannot believe I forgot about that. But you're right, yeah, like. It was like a Indiana Jones looking in the Ark kind of thing.
Yeah. The guy's like face basically burns off as he's falling into the pit, and you see it happen. Messed up.
You're like, this is too gruesome. Let's turn it off and put Inhumanoids back on.
Right. Here comes Decompose. Like,
But then afterwards, but then you see the other side of Macbeth too, that he's this honorable warrior. You see the whole thing of, he's fighting with King Arthur for possession of Excalibur, but once Arthur is the legitimate person, he doesn't dispute it. Like, yep, you got the sword, so you're the one. And then he's like, but I'm never going to bow to anyone else. So I'll be your ally, I'll be your friend. I'll come if you need me, but I'm not going to be your servant. And again, I like that sort of nobility to the character, but also he has this honor where he's not going to like fight over something where somebody else was the clear winner of the contest, like just stuff like that. There's like, this guy is, there's a lot going on there. And just like, and I always like tragic figure. I always like the tragic figure, the figure that it's like they're dealing with a lot of emotional pain and stuff. Like I always just kind of like glom onto that anyway. And so like, that just made him so, and John Rhys Davies. And for those listening to this who don't know him by name, the biggest thing he's probably did is he's Gimli the dwarf from Lord of the Rings.
He's Sala from the Indiana Jones series.
Yes, he's also Sala from the Indiana, but I'm sorry, as much as I love Indiana Jones.
Sliders. He's Professor from Sliders, yes.
I said the biggest thing. Okay,
Nathan, I'm sorry. We gave you the biggest thing. Okay, Sala and Sliders. Okay, who cares about that rinky-dink Lord of the Rings BS? Okay. All right, we all know The Hobbit is where it's hot. Right? Actually, if I'm being completely honest, I do like the Hobbit movies quite a bit, so I should.
Right? No, I know you do.
But I'm saying my point is no.
Right, but he's so good. He's one of those actors that you've seen him in a million things and don't realize it. Like Lord of the Rings is huge. Indiana Jones is huge. He's done those things, but he's also been
was in
like
Star Wars Episode 1.
Yes, he was. But he's done a lot of like bit roles in TV too over the years, and he's done like he was the Kingpin in the really awful Incredible Hulk movie with Daredevil.
How dare you?
You remember those old Lou Ferrigno Incredible Hulk movies? That's anyway.
I fondly remember those movies, man.
To be fair, the Daredevil one is my favorite.
Excuse me. Now you brought it up. They killed the Hulk by dropping his butt out of a helicopter.
I have problems with that. I have problems with that, yeah.
I'm angry all over again about it, man. Like, and then like Bruce Banner's
we won't like you when you're angry.
Seriously, and Bruce Banner's like, I'm free, and then he dies, and you hear sad Hulk music for the last time, and just
I mean, yeah. All right. Anyway, it's the trial of the Incredible Hulk. Anyway,
dear God.
I don't remember what the one with Daredevil is called, but anyway, there is an Incredible Hulk movie where they have a version of Daredevil where he just wears like black all over, and
Ninja Devil,
right? And John Rhys Davies is the Kingpin, which isn't bad casting in my opinion as far as the Kingpin, but especially for the time and for TV.
Yeah, made on $47 in somebody's backyard.
But anyway, yes, he's an amazing character actor. He's really great. I love him in Sliders, even though probably only like 5 people have ever watched Sliders. I
love that show.
I know. Well, yeah, because guess who was watching it with you, Kevin? Right. But anyway, yes. But yeah, I absolutely adore Macbeth.
Yeah. Well, I knew how to set my VCR. Step 1, call Nathan and ask him to record the show.
I also made sure that you didn't miss any DS9s while you were in basic training.
Right. That's the only reason I finished
Right, that's the only reason you finished the show.
To this day, I haven't finished Voyager because it switched to the other network.
UPN, it went to UPN when UPN was brand new.
Right.
Oh Lord, but you know what, Kevin? To be honest, I mean, with Voyager, like, it's just more next gen. You're not missing the next Deep Space Nine. You're not.
Well, that's why I haven't. It's on Netflix. I could watch it.
You could. I mean,
I've heard it's like, and I don't really want to go through the trouble of rewatching all of it.
Honest to God, it's not a bad show. It's just not Deep Space Nine.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I've said Voyager has some of the best Trek episodes, and it has the absolute worst Trek episodes.
Oh God, yes.
You know, so the thing is, it's more all over the place than any of the other series. It's like you can watch some really great ones where you're like, wow, that was a really powerful, really great story, and then you watch the next one, you're like, my God, how did that ever get through? Like, you know, any kind of writing, like, or editor or anything, because it's so bad.
I know we're in a rabbit hole, Nathan, but you have to let me tell Kevin about this one episode.
Okay. All right. Is it Warp 10?
Okay.
Yes, it is Warp 10.
Oh,
That's exactly.
Kevin might have seen that one before he left, but anyway, continue.
Did you see the Warp 10 episode? Kevin?
I can't even remember. This is
okay.
Like the 90s
so basically, Paris decides to come up with a hot rod new shuttlecraft, and they decide that they figured out a way to go faster than Warp 10. So in order to do it, Janeway says, well, you're not going to go Warp 10 for the first time alone. I'm going to go with you because that makes it. The captain of the freaking ship on the wrong freaking quadrant is going to get on an experimental spacecraft to see if it works. So Paris and Janeway go faster than Warp 10. They come back like, oh my God, it totally worked. We can apply this to Voyager. It's going to be amazing. We're going to get home faster. And then over the span of the rest of the episode, Janeway and Paris turn into basically, they turn into kind of like bald badgers.
What?
I find out going faster than Warp 10 causes you to like evolve super fast. Yes.
So they hyper evolve into what we would look like in like 2 billion years or something like that, and we basically look like bald badgers. And so they have to find a way to reverse engineer it, which is like, wait, how do you reverse engineer going Warp 10? If I remember correctly, Nathan, I don't remember how they got out of it exactly. If I remember correctly, I think it was teleportation. Didn't they do like an RNA sequence where they just re-teleported them through a damn transporter and they souped out the evolved crap or something like that?
It was something like that. Anyway, here's the funniest part, Kevin. The writer has publicly apologized for that episode and has admitted this is the worst episode ever written for all of Star Trek. And
didn't LeVar Burton direct that one too?
I don't know who directed it, but I know the writer was oh crap, what was his name? Anyway, Brandon Braga, who's
God, it's so bad. Threshold. The name of the episode is Threshold. Hold on, now we're looking this up. No, it was directed by Alexander Singer. Yes, but yeah, Brandon Braga. God, Kevin.
Wow. I had a physicist. I interviewed a physicist for the show who she's like the advisor to the Star Trek franchise. No, this is now. She wasn't the advisor back then, but she brought up that episode. It's the worst thing that ever did because this episode keeps on coming up in the podcast.
I mean, it's that bad. I mean, look. There's almost a crown of shame that you wear in pride when you make the worst episode of all time. And you have to remember, in the '60s, Captain Kirk dressed up as a Native American for an entire episode. Okay, all right. And you're looking at Voyager. The closest one after that in Voyager, in my opinion, is the one where Kate Mulgrew falls in love with the hologram in Willoughby or whatever the name is.
Yeah, in the Ireland the
little
thing.
Irish town. Oh,
yes.
God, so freaking dumb. She's basically Mary Poppins, but she has no magic. It is god awful boring. I'm serious, Kevin. Literally, it's basically Janeway has a day off, and instead of it being interesting, it's just...
she's basically doing a Harlequin romance thing where she's like the school teacher in the Irish town, and she falls in love with one of the characters in the story. And it's.
But I realize I'm not the target demo. Maybe ladies really like that episode, but I did not enjoy that. But Warp 10 by far.
I just Google image searched Threshold, and this is horrifying. They look like catfish with arms. It's bad. Oh God,
it's bad. All right. Yeah, let's put Star Trek behind.
That's how Gargoyles ended.
All right. So season 3. So Kevin, you don't remember even seeing it. You only watched a few episodes this latest time.
Right.
Sean, did you ever watch the Goliath Chronicles?
I did, and I regret the time I spent on it. I gotta be honest. It was not. Look, for me, I will accept any Gargoyles because I love the universe, but
Sure.
it is just not the same quality. The animation is different. You know, the voice acting feels stiffer for some reason. It all feels less interesting, even though that first episode with the idea of the Gargoyles are now public, like people know that the Gargoyles are around, and you know they're celebrities. So you know Brooklyn is like, you know, kind of, you know, absorbing it and stuff. He's like, oh, all that stuff. It just it doesn't come together in any real way. I mean, it's like what, 20 episodes, something like that.
It's only 13.
Okay, it feels like 20,
but they're all standalone. That's the thing. There's no real good art. They come up with that like sort of like bargain basement KKK called the Quarrymen to be like the bad guys for the season, and they're in like half the episodes or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, there's so many more interesting things you could do with the idea of the Gargoyles become public, you know, than to just be like, hey, we're gonna throw these guys that look just like KKK, except we're going to make their robes gray instead of white and give them hammers. And
yeah, and I mean, like, even when you look at stuff like, you know, every once in a while in the first like 70-something episodes, you know, you would have an episode that would only focus on one of the Gargoyles, right? I mean, even Bronx would get an episode. You know, you'd have like these great moments, like, wow, that was a really cool moment to, you know, you focus on that one Gargoyle. They did a Bronx episode in the Gargoyle Chronicles where, guys, this is what, if you haven't seen it, Kevin, you actually kind of owe it yourself to watch this episode. Bronx befriends an Amish boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. How did that even happen?
Like,
he gets, so they're like taking out some drug runners or something on a train, and Bronx gets stuck on the train, and then it becomes daytime, so the other Gargoyles become statues, and Bronx gets carried away on the train. So he ends up in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And he runs out and he goes to an Amish town, and there's a boy.
He's literally an Amish country, dude. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
But based on that alone, I mean, quite frankly, that's my favorite episode of the season other than the first one. I mean, and it's pretty freaking ridiculous. It's not great, but it's also kind of amazing because it's how do you not want to watch an episode where Bronx meets the Amish? I mean, that's like...
Yeah, I remembered that the storytelling dropped off with the Goliath Chronicles, but it wasn't until I just rewatched it that I realized, and as a kid, I didn't pay as much attention to like the animation and whatnot. It's like, oh god, they started spending a lot less money on animation. Yeah, because like it's nowhere near as nice. The backgrounds, they're definitely not paying a lot of attention to like they used to, and I was shocked by how cheap it looked.
And recycled frames. They would recycle animation too. It did not hold up the way the first two seasons did. The first two seasons are just wonderful, you know, every cell is just beautiful art, and that's not to besmirch the animation attempts and efforts of the third season. It did not have the same artistry, consistency, or drive and direction that those first two seasons had, which is a real disappointment.
Yeah, the thing that I've heard, and I haven't read anything official that says this, but the thing that I've heard is that ABC, you know, once Disney bought ABC, they were just looking for content and looking for properties that they owned. And we're like, oh, let's throw Gargoyle. This is something we own. Let's put Gargoyles on, you know, ABC Saturday mornings. The problem was Gargoyles as a syndicated show was able to get away with a lot of stuff that, you know, you couldn't get away with on a Saturday morning network show because you know there's censors that oversee things and you know whatnot, so they had to pitch it down. You know, they had to make it friendly, you know, kid friendly for whatever was considered Saturday morning kid friendly, and so I think that's a huge part of the problem there. And then the fact that once you get rid of the creator, I mean, who's driving anything, right? Like who's pushing for any equality or anything? So yeah, it's sad because Gargoyles has so much potential. Nate, did you see the Goliath Chronicles?
No, I never did watch the Goliath Chronicles. I think I watched like maybe the first episode or the second one, and it just wasn't the same. So
yeah, it definitely was not. Although there were some nice things, like every once in a while it was like, oh, it was nice that they did like one, like I think probably the best one they did that wasn't the first one, because I think all of us who have seen it can agree the first one was the best one, was the one where Proteus gets away from New Olympus and comes to New York, and Taurus follows him to try and catch him. And I like the fact that they brought the New Olympians back, and that this was, at least something that like kind of was plausible under the old, the style of the old series and everything. And I liked that one. But
yeah, that was like right at the end. That was one of the final episodes, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. That was the next to last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, they were not. They were not very good at all.
Bronx hangs out with an Amish kid. That's all you need, people. A dog and his Amish kid. That's what it is. That's the whole episode. That's the tweet.
Mm-hmm. All right. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about was that there was this rumor. It's really a couple of years old now, but the Jordan Peele was apparently interested in doing a live action Gargoyles film.
I've heard about this. Yeah,
please.
And so here it's sort of a two-part question. One, do you think that a live action reboot movie is something that you would be interested in? And two, would you be interested in anything Gargoyles if Greg Weisman wasn't part of it? So let's start with you, Nate.
I think, I think I would trust Jordan Peele with the property. Obviously, he's reaching deep to get this Gargoyle, so I don't know if he's ever watched it before, but I mean, you don't just say, I want to do Gargoyles if you haven't watched the show and are a fan of it. I would trust him to do it, even if Weisman wasn't on board.
Okay.
I think I'd trust him with it.
Okay, fair enough. Kevin, what about you?
I haven't really heard about this, but you had me at there was a rumor.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. And obviously Disney wants to work with, like, the rumor says that Disney wants to work with Peele really badly, but because they have this thing against Gargoyles, they're kind of hoping to wait him out and push some other property on him and be like, wouldn't you rather work on this? But who knows? It's a rumor. So,
I think he's a talented guy, so I would imagine he would do it justice. So, this is like, when we were back in the 90s, we're like, well, we'll never see a decent comic book movie. Right. And now we have the technology. They can do it. So if they'd made a Gargoyles live action movie in the 90s, it would have been god awful. But nowadays, they can do pretty much anything. So, yeah, let's see it. I'll give it a chance.
Okay. But would you care at all if Greg, okay, a completely different thing, this is my Gargoyles, or would you want Greg Weisman to be part of it?
I'd say the fact that it's Jordan Peele, that it's like an outside creative force coming in and not like Disney's afternoon cartoon team doing it. I would feel a lot better. Obviously it'd be nice if it was the original creative team, but I don't know. We kind of got to take what we can get at this point.
Okay, fair enough. And Sean?
I think one of the things that we always have to consider when we're talking about properties that start gaining decades on them, which, let's be fair, this property is 25 years old at this point, is original creators' visions do not necessarily age as well. And that's not to say that Weisman wouldn't bring an amazing pantheon of creativity to it, but storytelling techniques are not the same as they were back then. And I don't know if necessarily his particular technique would work today in a modern setting. And that's not to say that he can't make an amazing cartoon or amazing live action series, whatever. I'm just going to bring up the fact that he did Spectacular Spider-Man not too long ago, and he's done Young Justice. And again, like I said, this isn't to besmirch any of his creative endeavors. This is more of just to say that, there is a point where the creator is no longer the best person to necessarily take that franchise to where it needs to go next.
Are you referencing Ridley Scott in the Alien franchise?
You know what? That's a really good example, but that is a very good example. But just look what Netflix did recently with She-Ra. She-Ra, basically ran for 4 years, and if you've not seen that cartoon, it is a completely different monster from the original cartoon, and they don't take anything away from it. They just add to it, and they do a really good job of re-envisioning how this all works together, and it's a really great way to create something that was completely different from the original source material. Again, not saying that the source material is bad. We just spent 2 hours talking about how amazing Gargoyles is, so there's absolutely no besmirchment of Weisman's creativity, but just because somebody new comes in doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. And I've always had this really distinct point of view of let's see what happens, because I tend to want to see if that creative individual can rise to the occasion. If they cannot, it reinforces why the original is so good. And if they can, oh wow, now we have two versions of something that I love a lot. So for me, Wiseman is not the thing that I predicate Gargoyles' success on. I think if somebody like Jordan Peele came in, who clearly gets pop culture, gets media, gets storytelling. I mean, the man remade the Twilight Zone. If you haven't watched some of those Twilight Zone episodes, some of them miss, but the majority of them hit. And if you have not seen the Blurry Man episode, have you guys seen this by any chance at all?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to spoil it for you because you probably won't see it. And for those of you listening, if you don't want to hear this, just jump ahead about a minute and a half. But it's a very meta episode that starts off with basically it's the end of the world. And they realize that they're not going to get out of what's happening, and the people are very much afraid. And then somebody calls cut, and they don't like the line. And what you're watching is an episode of The Twilight Zone being made, and the Twilight Zone event is going to happen in the set to the person writing the Twilight Zone episode. So she starts to see this figure who is blurry, and she can't make him out. And he keeps kind of like tracking her down no matter where she goes. And she keeps trying to finish the episode, and she can't finish it. And she really gets freaked out. And the cool part is this is the last episode of the first season. So she's running through the sets that you've seen in the previous, I think it's like 12 episodes that happened previous to that. Mm-hmm. And at the very end, she's stuck in a room and she can't get away from it. And it walks right up to her. And it has this very kind of Slender Man vibe to it, very creepy. And then the blurry man comes into focus, and it's Rod Serling. And Rod Serling says, our stories don't finish just because we die. And just because I'm no longer writing this doesn't mean we don't need new blood to make new stories. And he opens the door to nowhere. And on the other side is the real Twilight Zone. He says, how would you like to make this real? And he takes her into the Twilight Zone. And so that's the end of the episode. And it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's beautiful, and it's gorgeous. And I tell people, if you've not watched the new Twilight Zone series, watch that one episode. Even though I just spoiled it for you, I promise you it will hit you like a bag of bricks. I mean, this thing hits you so hard because they do a great CG Rod Serling. It's spot on. It's perfect. He's even in black and white. It is. I think it's black and white. He may not have been. But it's just so pitch perfect. And Jordan Peele made that happen. And if you tell me he's going to turn around and say, let's make Gargoyles happen, I'm there. I'm like, do it. If you give me something like a Blurry Man or something, or you know, well, obviously I don't want Get Out and Gargoyles because that'd be just be messed up. Or Us. Actually, Us and Gargoyles could kind of be cool. Like crazy gargoyles, like stabbing people and stuff. That could actually be really interesting to see. But I mean, as long as he doesn't Michael Bay it up, I see it as, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, but that's the fear, right? I mean, that's the fear. Depending on how much he loves Gargoyle, he might love it just for like the design aesthetic, but then he makes something that, like, spirit-wise, is nothing like the original series or whatever. You know, like,
I don't think that's going to happen with Jordan Peele, though. Jordan Peele's pretty monogamous to source material. He likes to reference things, you know, and he likes to pay homage to what came before. And if you ever watch his stuff in Key and Peele, he's really good at kind of like paying tribute to stuff beforehand. So my gut says he would make a phenomenal creation. And I would love, I'm there for anything Gargoyles. Like I said, I tracked down those damn comic books because I wanted to know what happened to Brooklyn, you know? So, I mean, I've pretty much like, I'm here for it if it happens. But I think my big fear is the thing I would want out of Gargoyles is I would want that sense of scope. And I think doing something like a movie would just not be enough.
That was the point I was going to make. That, I'm afraid that a movie would try to cram too much into a 2-hour, even 2.5-hour movie when it's like Gargoyles really needs like a serial. I mean, it's the reason why it's serialized storytelling is because you need that. And with the way Disney feels about, because, you know, people have gotten around that. The MCU's gotten around that by making a serial of movies. But when Disney's already hesitant on the Gargoyles franchise, I don't think they're going to greenlight 3 movies right off the bat so he can tell like a really long story or whatever. He's going to get one. So it's like, then you have to tell the full story in the one with just maybe a hope that you get a sequel or whatever. And that, I'm just worried that would, you know, ruin things, that they wouldn't be able to like,
it's like it needs to go onto Netflix, where Netflix will do a 13 episode movie.
I mean, just give them like
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus it. Do like 9 episodes like The Mandalorian the first season, right? Make them half an hour long. I mean, you could do Gargoyles as a TV show half an hour long. The cartoon was a half hour long.
Right. Right. Because then, or like any of the Marvel shows that they're trying to do, that they're basically saying they're a movie budget, but it's a season of television, you know?
Right.
And so, that would be, I would feel a lot better about that. Right. Yeah. But I really want Wiseman to be attached. I mean, I realize, I get totally what you're saying, Sean, like Voltron's another great example of that. But
and again, that wasn't me besmirching saying he couldn't do the job. I'm just saying that.
I'm just, but see, the difference is, if you go back and watch the original Voltron, it's kind of embarrassing now.
Oh, it's horrible.
Gargoyle still holds up.
Oh, Gargoyles absolutely does.
It still holds up. I can go back and watch it now, and because I just did, and I still love it. You know, so I think it's a little bit of a different thing. I do think the fact that Wiseman's still making Young Justice, and that's really strong.
Yeah.
You know, tells me that he understands modern television. Now, again, I don't know that he's made anything live action. I only know that he's worked in animation. So if they bring it back as a live action thing, it is a little bit different, whatever. But I still think storytelling is storytelling.
I think for me, it was more of a point of don't dismiss it if it happens, just because, not you specifically, but like the audience in general. Don't dismiss it just because Weissman's not attached to it.
Sure.
Because other creators can absolutely lend their voice and not only create something that honors, but can expand and improve upon the original awesome recipe that is the fantastic buttermilk pancakes of Gargoyles. And if you don't like buttermilk pancakes, then I don't know what's up.
Right. I mean, but I think my final point is going to be, it's because Wiseman has felt for years that this was taken away from him, that I also feel like he's got stories to tell already there percolating in his head. It would be a real shame not to involve him, because
I would love to see an animated version. I'd love for them to do Gargoyle season 4, and you guys finally see the Phoenix Gate thing I'm talking about, and there's a whole season of Brooklyn in the 70s, you know. I mean, seriously, like, he's in the 70s, guys. Like,
it's the age of nostalgia now. All sorts of things are coming back. Like, even the X-Men, the 90s X-Men series creators are trying to pitch Disney on doing a continuation of that, because people are finding that the downloads are strong on Disney Plus and everything, and they're saying, like, look, all the cast is still ready to go. A lot of the original writers are ready to go. Like, let us make more X-Men stories, you know.
And you know what's interesting, Nathan, is, you know, Disney right now, they've moved away from the theme park model of their empire that's been around for so long because of COVID. And they know that one day the theme parks are going to come back. You know, they're going to do their cruise trips again. They're going to have movies again. But right now it's all about Disney Plus, because Disney Plus has 78 million subscribers and growing, and people are paying a high premium and they're showing up for this stuff. And I mean, they have IPs that they have not touched in decades, and Gargoyles is just sitting there waiting for it to happen. But Gargoyles is, to me, Gargoyles feels like Star Trek. What was it when they tried to reboot it in the 70s, before it became the motion picture? It was like
phase 2.
Yeah, that's what it feels like right now. It feels like we're in Gargoyles phase 2, and sooner or later somebody's going to push it through, and they're going to realize, oh my God, we've been sitting on a gold mine this entire time. But they gotta get to it.
I think the same thing, because like all the stuff that the only fear that I have on that is it's going to be like the John Carter thing, that once Gargoyles becomes big, people are going to be like, oh, that's so derivative, people have done that already. When it's like, no, Gargoyles did it first. Damn it, shut up.
And again, like I said, I would love to see Weissman come back and do it. I think I agree with you that he's got stories ready to go. You know, I think he's ready to rock. So, but if it doesn't happen with him, I'm not going to just be like, no, it's terrible.
Well, no. Yeah, you got to see what they come up with. So, anything Gargoyles happens, I'll definitely watch it.
Like, I'm here for it.
Wiseman's attached, right? Yes, exactly. And one thing I wanted to bring up that I had, I know that we're getting long, but I think this is kind of important. Sean, you kind of touched on it when you talked about the Gargoyles from different regions, is how well this show did with trying to represent. And I mean that not just with, like, you know, they did all the different folklore, they did the gargoyles of everything, but even we have one of our main characters is Elisa Maza, who is a woman of Native American and African American descent. And I think that that's something that should be noted, is like, and they did a good job with that, not only of making her a very strong character, she's not a damsel. There are times she has to be rescued, but there's also times she rescues Goliath.
Yeah.
You know, like she's not like the character that's just there as, oh, she's the weak human. And We also explore her heritage in 2 different episodes. We go to Arizona, where she explores her native heritage. We go to Africa, where she explores her African heritage. And frankly, she is the product of Nichelle Nichols and David Carradine. And who can't be amazed by that pedigree?
Uhura and Bill just
right. So yeah, no, I think that's something that we should talk about just for a second, is just like how well Gargoyles does of, trying to show like sort of like the world as a whole and all the different cultures that are contained within that world, which I think was very powerful.
Yeah, it was that was very progressive choice for that character. Also, never does she go, I got 3 older brothers, as a reason why she knows how to fix a car or punch somebody. Like, she's just like, no, I'm a cop. I know how to.
Actually, I think she's the oldest in her family too.
Yeah,
like, I think
is the oldest.
Derek is younger, and then Beth is younger also. Yeah.
And also, sort of in line with the theme of the subject, is when Angela comes back from Avalon, and the 3 younger gargoyles. Remember, they were all like vying to be her mate, and she was like, "What? I am not a prize to be won." It was a very, forward-thinking thing too, where Angela was like, I choose. You don't. I'm not a prize to be won. I'm not a thing. I'm my own being who has thoughts and ideas about what's going on. So, in addition to Eliza Naza. So,
yeah. Any other thoughts about this?
No. Well, go ahead. Not about that. I did want to mention a few of the. I probably should have mentioned this earlier. Some of the little minor inconsistencies in the show, usually for plot convenience,
sure.
Which I didn't necessarily notice when I was younger. Now, well, for one thing, like the sun rises and sets very quickly in the Gargoyles universe. Like you see the sun hit the horizon, you got about 5 seconds before you turn.
Dude, we're not going to wait around for 16 minutes, okay? That's the whole episode.
Right. So, that's one of their strength levels. It's hard to follow because sometimes like humans seem to fight them hand to hand and hold their own, but then you see Goliath rip apart a steel wall with his bare hands. You're like, wow, that's he's pretty strong. But then you think, well, it's Goliath. He's the heavy hitter. But then even Lexington like grabs a gun and bends the barrel with his hands. So that's like outrageously strong. So, any of them are very strong. But my favorite is where they ask, oh, so the Gargoyles can fly? And they're like, no, we can't fly, only glide. It's like, okay, Gargoyles only glide. And then you see them like Goliath and Griff. They're like, hey, let's go get in a dogfight with these airplanes. And they're just like soaring through the sky, which was pretty funny. You kind of have to suspend we're watching Gargoyles. So yes, our disbelief is suspended. I get it. But it was just funny how sometimes they're like, no, we have to climb up to the top of this cliff to get a breeze because we can't fly. And then other times, as long as they get a good boost, they're 5 feet off the ground and then they just soar off into the sky. So
they do mention the idea of updrafts and stuff because this is real. I mean, like even hang gliders can gain altitude if they hit like the right, updraft or whatever, and they can spiral up and stuff. So it's not always about getting height and then just gliding straight. You can get lift. Right.
So there's that. My favorite inconsistency, the most glaring, was after Owen, his hand had turned to stone. Yeah. And then a few episodes later, he was actually at a computer typing with both hands.
Yes, I know. These are things that I actively try to forget.
Okay. Wait. But Kevin, you've seen the whole season. You the series. You know who Owen really is. He's just screwing with you. He's messing. He knows you're watching him, and he's like, "This is going with Kevin." I'm sorry. Kevin's going to see this. He's going to be like, "What the hell's going on?" He's like, "I'm not human."
You're right.
Spoilers.
There is actually a canon explanation for that.
Yes.
But now, what there's not an explanation for. So their clothes turn to stone, but. If they're holding something, it doesn't. So, like, Hudson's sword is very inconsistent.
Yes,
because
Hudson's sword is inconsistent.
It usually turns to stone, but sometimes doesn't. But so at the time when they thought Hudson was dead, and then they had a replacement statue for him that the Gargoyles thought was Hudson, and then they had the sword there. So at that point in time, Hudson's sword seemed to be turning to stone along with him. So they give the replacement statue, it has a real sword, and I was like, oh, the Gargoyles they're gonna figure out it's not him because the sword isn't stone like it should be. But no, they didn't figure it out, and they actually thought he was dead. And then in later episodes,
I mean, Kevin, you do realize you're talking about Gargoyles who were born in like 932 AD, right? I mean, these are not modernly educated, Gargoyles, okay? Like,
yeah, I know, but I thought it was going to be like a cool plot point when they cracked the mystery, but that didn't.
I mean, their deductive reasoning skills are, oh God, it's gotten dark outside. God is mad at us. Okay, I mean,
but then you have Lexington who like builds a motorcycle, or
okay,
takes,
let's
like,
be
a
fair.
helicopter.
Lexington is literally Donatello as a car. Okay, come on, let's be fair here.
He does machines. He does
right?
machines.
Seriously,
yes.
Like they are Ninja Turtles for crying out loud. They really kind of are. Brooklyn is Raphael. Lexington is Donatello. Right? Goliath would be Leonardo, and then you have Broadway is
Michelangelo. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, like that they're the Ninja Turtles, dude. Like,
yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Except that I don't think Michelangelo really got a taste for poetry.
Right. That means Hudson, Splinter, and Eliza is April O'Neil. And I don't know how Bronx fits into Turtles. Casey Jones? I don't know. But seriously, he's a Ninja Turtle, dude. Like,
yeah,
he's even green like a Ninja Turtle. I mean,
all right, Kevin, do you have anything else?
No, it was fun watching it with my wife. She'd never seen the show before, and
never.
No, never. She
Awesome.
She was in the Philippines when it aired, and I don't know if it aired over there. She wasn't aware of it airing in the Philippines in the 90s. But she would always have like these funny observations where referring to Elisa, and she's like, I hope she washes that jacket. She wears it every day. She's getting all kinds of or like during the Avalon stuff, and she's like, how many vacation days does she have?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I did wonder about that. That is one that I brought up even when I was like, this doesn't, I mean, like, you can't just not show up to work for like weeks and weeks.
Right.
And not have their
it went
problem.
on. But her biggest concern during the Avalon episodes was Elisa did not appear to have showered. She's like, has she showered? Like, does she even eat? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, Rachel was concerned that she doesn't ever sleep because she's, she has to be awake with the Gargoyles every night. And then she has to be awake during the day to guard them. And then they're just going from place to place on the boat. And Rachel was just like, when does she sleep?
I don't know. This kind of feels like that 24 question of when does Jack Bauer poop?
Right.
Like, I think it's just assume when it happens, like, at the downtime. Like,
right. Well, that's what I tell her. I tell her that maybe they're actually on the boat for, like 6, 7, 8 hours, so Lisa can sleep on the boat, even though that's very comfortable. But
Yeah. But yeah, it was fun watching the show with her. Now, a lot of times she wouldn't be impressed, where I'm like, see how mature the show is, and she's like, if you say so.
Yeah, Rachel wasn't as impressed as I hoped she'd be either.
But the episode that she did agree with, the future tense, when Goliath thinks he's in the future, and that episode got dark. It got really dark, and she even said, she was like, this is a very disturbing episode. It's just like the thought of like kids watching it, and you're seeing like character after character die in front of you on screen in front of your eyes. It gets bad. Also, that episode had the buffed up Brooklyn. He was all like muscled up in the future. So
he got into the roids.
Yeah,
right. You got to in that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking over for Goliath, right, you got to show up. You got to come correct. Okay. So, if Goliath is 9.5 feet tall with 600 pounds of muscle on it, and you're only like 5'1", you gotta beef up.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
There's one more thing we haven't mentioned. Or actually, Sean might have mentioned her. The Elisa Demona clone.
Oh, yeah.
Which was kind of disturbing on many levels.
Well, all right. So we got several weird things going on here with relationships. First of all, Demona, first of all, the first disturbing thing is, how do gargoyles mate in the first place?
Well, they have eggs.
Well, I know, but
they're amphibians, clearly.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But okay, so because they turn to stone when they're sleeping, and anyway, I don't want to get into this. I have theories, but anyway. But then so Demona's been with Goliath, and then she's with his clone.
Yes,
and that seems messed up. Just on that, then. We know that Goliath has a thing for Elisa, and how is that ever going to work out? But then Thalog apparently has the same human fetish, because then he makes a combined Demona-Lisa clone that's going to be his new mate that he's going with behind Demona's back. It's all messed up.
Yeah, and Goliath wasn't into Elisa until she turned into a gargoyle, and then he was like, oh. He's like, he never realized how attractive she was until he saw the gargoyle version. And I think that's when he then had a thing. But Thalog...
And then she gets to see Goliath as basically like Conan as a human.
Right.
Right, anyway. But, yeah.
Yeah, but that was definitely one of the darker, more weirder things on the show.
I still always wonder how Lisa and Goliath think they're going to make that thing work, because
magic.
Look, it's just like in Futurama, right, where Fry marries the mermaid, and then it's like we're gonna finally get it on, and then like they go into the bedroom, and she's like, okay, let's do it. And he's like, okay, and he's like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm laying my eggs, and then you fertilize them after I leave. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And he just bolts. That's what was going to happen. Like, Goliath is going to wait for her. She's going to strip down. She's like, let's get to it. And he's like, where are your eggs? And she's like, what? And he's like, I got to fertilize your eggs. And she's like, dude, like, come on, let's pony up. And he's like, pony up? What are you, a savage? And then he gets like all messed up, and he goes out and he drinks like a Yoo-hoo or something, because you got to plug it in for the kids. So they got to Yoo-hoo, lots of electrolytes, kids. Then he gets all upset because filthy humans. You want me to put my what where? No, that is uncivilized and horrible. And now I know why you're the electric species.
And Fry says, "Why couldn't you be the other kind of mermaid with the fish type on the top and the human on the bottom?" All right. Anyway, all right. Well, this isn't the Futurama podcast. All right. All right. So that
might be your best segue out, dude. You might just want to run for the hills at this point.
We just gotta. Kevin kind of really took us out into left field there. All right. All right. So final thoughts on Gargoyles. Just keep it short, okay? So Sean, we're gonna start with you. What is your final thoughts? Like, anything we didn't mention that you're just like, oh no, we gotta say this one thing about Gargoyles and how it was great.
The toy line was fantastic, and I am really sad that it did not go on longer than it did. But everything about Gargoyles, between the comics and the toy line and just everything about it, was absolutely top notch. And I am mad, sad, disheartened, and also eager to see what will happen in the future of it, because it is one of those franchises I know has not yet finished running its race, and it will come back, even though Disney is absolutely mortified of it. And I can't wait to see what happens with it next.
All right, very cool. All right, Nate, final thoughts on Gargoyles.
If you watched it, watch it again. If you watched it as a kid, watch it again. You're going to get a lot more out of it. And if you haven't watched it, please just go watch this thing. It's really good, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been talking about it for like 2.5 hours. So,
and we really didn't spoil a damn thing. We really didn't talk about the stuff that happens in the show. Like,
right? Yeah, I mean, there are a few things, but yeah, like there's still so much that happens in that show that we did not talk about. The
big plots, yeah.
And because we didn't even mention how that second season ends. So
we did not.
All right. So Kevin, final thoughts on Gargoyles.
Well, when it's so we've got some filler episodes. We've got some times when it's kind of like a standard cartoon, but when it's at its best, when it's great, we got things like The Edge, Enter Macbeth, City of Stone. It's definitely a step above the rest. We get things like we get Genocide, we get Mutates, we get Gargoyle Clones, we get
we didn't even talk about
dark episodes. Fox gets naked in one episode.
Everything you want from a kid's show.
Everything you want in a
It's
kid's
not like
show.
full frontal nudity or anything. It's just sort of like, she's naked and you get like silhouettes and stuff. I mean,
Suggestions.
Right.
We knew. The kids knew.
Yeah, we knew.
Yes. We get some great stuff, things you wouldn't expect to see in a cartoon, which definitely, I'd say when it's at its best, it holds up really well. So give it a chance if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, very cool. Yeah, I mean, to me, this was one of those shows that, like I said before, it just kind of blew me away at the time because it was doing things that no other show did. But yet it played with a lot of the themes that I really enjoyed, from other shows. Like, again, I was a huge X-Men fan, got into it with the 90s X-Men cartoon. And again, this sort of theme of the idea of these beings, intelligent beings, feeling, caring in many ways, like the same as humans where it counts, being oppressed or because people are just afraid of them for being different and all that kind of stuff. But they deal with it in a very mature way. It's not a very like one-sided thing. You can also see why humans are scared of these beings because of the actions of Demona and stuff like that. So they do at least try to show like why are things the way they are, as well as showing that, but also taking in, the themes of like friendship and family, not necessarily being like the people that you're born with, taking in multiculturalism like we talked about, and really trying to show like that the world is a much more diverse and an interesting place than a lot of cartoons did, taking in all those different mythologies from all over the world. So there's a lot to really love about Gargoyles. It is a show that did a lot of things that I think shows now are still taking from Gargoyles, that they're still, even if they don't know they are, because they're taking ideas from shows that then came after Gargoyles that took it. But Gargoyles, a lot of stuff leads back to Gargoyles in the ways that it pushed the boundaries of what animation could do. Like, I love shows that came later, like Justice League, but I don't think you get Justice League and the interconnected storytelling that Justice League had without Gargoyles. I think they were definitely looking back, and and other shows that have come forward after that. So it's a phenomenal show, and I definitely think that, especially now that it's part of Disney Plus, a lot of people have Disney Plus, go check it out. But so it's time to say our goodbyes and get out of here. So Nate, let's start with you. Say your goodbyes and let people know if there's anything that you have to plug or anywhere that they can find you.
I don't have anything to plug just yet. But you can find my random brain droppings on Twitter at Nate Bob Benton.
All right. And Kevin, why don't you say goodbye and let people know if you have anything to plug or if there's anywhere to find you.
You can't find me, and I have nothing to plug. But it was a pleasure being here. Goodbye.
It's always great having you on, Kevin.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
And Sean, why don't you say goodbye and let people know where they can find you?
Toodaloo, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this, and sorry for making this like a Sean-castic episode. It was
nobody fell asleep though.
Nobody did fall asleep, which is good. But we also recorded till like 1 o'clock in the morning. That was a different monster.
Yes.
But yes, if you want to find me online, basically Pneumaz, that's PNEUMAZ. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to if you want to watch any of the cool stuff that we talked about with Pop Con, you can just simply go to popcycledbaubles.com. You can also shop stuff that we make there. We make a bunch of cool handmade art. It will also take you over to our Twitch channel, YouTube, and we do a lot of broadcasts and whatnot. And you can have fun while we make art, talk politics, talk sci-fi, whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff out there that we do, and we'd love to see you. And if not, that's okay too. Just come say hey on one of the social medias, and that's fantastic. Thanks so much.
All right. And so, Nate, Kevin, and Sean, thank you so much for being on the episode today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on talking about Gargoyles for the second time. So I have to ask now, did any of you notice anything substantially different about how men and women view gargoyles? Because I've got to tell you, as I was doing those two panels, I kept thinking to myself, there's no substantial difference. I mean, nothing that couldn't be explained with the fact that we had a very small statistical sample. But by and large, it was mainly the same conversation, just with different personalities in play. But it was the same interests in the same things, by and large. So I don't know what that person that I used to know, I can't even call her a friend because she wasn't even really a friend. I guessed it on her podcast a few times. But I don't know what she was on about, and I really wish that she had released her episodes that she had recorded, because I really am curious now what her thesis is. My expectation is that her thesis was going to be that men like gargoyles for the action, and that women like it for the fantasy, how literate it is, for the deep storylines, for the nuanced characters. I think that's where this was going. But as you can see with these panels, there was broad agreement between both panels that that was the stuff that drew everyone to Gargoyles. It's not just a male-female thing. So yeah, the show is very action-packed, and that's very cool. But there's a lot of action-packed, cool cartoons. The thing that makes Gargoyles special is all that other stuff. The creation of one coherent, fictional, mythological narrative that combines everything from Shakespeare to the folklore of the entire world into one story. That's special. The characters and their depth, that's special. And then how the storyline juggled standalone episodes and continuing arcs for characters and an overall arc for the story so well. Better than almost any other series that I've ever seen. And that includes live action series. Usually you get all one or the other. Like, you have a good standalone show, you have a good, like, very tight, like, arc-ish show where every episode matters. Whenever shows try to do both, they tend to not do it as well as Gargoyles did. So there's just so much there that's really good. Anyway, I'm curious what your thoughts are. How did you like this episode? How did you like our women's panel episode? What other shows would you like us to talk about? What other ideas for topics do you have? Are there other 90s cartoons that you want us to talk about? I will tell you, there are a couple that are already in the pipeline that'll be coming your way. Not to give away too much, one features a certain Dark Knight. That one may be a little bit away, but my daughter and I are rewatching it right now, and so when we're done with our rewatch, we're going to record an episode on that. But there's another one that's already recorded that will be coming your way. But I'm curious what shows you would like us to talk about. So you can let us know in a bunch of ways. One way is to email us at everything@42cast.com. Another one is to go to our website, 42cast.com, and leave us a message on any of the episodes there. You can go to facebook.com/42cast, or you can go to X, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Threads @42cast, and leave us messages in any of those places. You can also let us know how you think about the show by leaving us a review, either on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast platform that lets you do that. With Apple Podcasts, the more reviews that we get, the higher we show up in searches. So if you have an Apple account, we would appreciate if you would leave us a review. You can help out the show and all the shows on the ESO network by going to patreon.com/ESO network. There are different perks for different tiers. You can get early episodes of some shows, exclusive episodes of some shows, and a whole exclusive ESO network podcast. So if you have the funds to contribute, we'd greatly appreciate it if you would do so. You can find me on two other podcasts. One is Time Streams, where my friend Juliet and I are talking about Doctor Who from the beginning, and the other is Legendary Forces, where Juliet and I are joined by Ashley, Joe, and Corey to talk about Star Wars from the beginning. As of the time of this recording, both of these shows are on hiatus. I'm hoping by the time you're listening to it, at least one of them is off hiatus. So that is my near-term goal. We do have episodes of both recorded, so keep watching this space for more developments there. In Watch News, Beth and I just finished Citadel Honey Bunny. I really love all the Citadel series. My main complaint about them is that they all end abruptly. It feels like instead of getting a season, we get half a season and then have to wait a year and a half for another half of the season. And I know that because Amazon told them that they could only continue one of them, they're only going to continue the core one. But then that means that they have to dovetail the plots from all three into that second season of the original Citadel. So I'm going to be very curious how they put that all together, and hopefully in the future they'll be able to spin it off more, because I actually like the idea of these interconnected shows that were all part of the same universe and kind of telling the same story, but that you get all these different points of view, and even in the style of different countries, with Citadel Diana being an Italian production and then Citadel Honey Bunny being an Indian production. And it would actually be neat if they pulled in other countries and did various other Citadel shows that were in other styles of other nations and whatnot. So I've enjoyed all of that, and it's ambitious and it's really cool, and the acting in all of them has been great. The action in all of them has been great. The overall story is suitably global in scope to justify having all of these different series around the world. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what comes out of that. So we'll see what we think. In con news, I don't have anything to report right now. I'll be doing Chicago TARDIS next year, but that's the only one that I can guarantee. So keep watching the space for more info on that. All right, that's a wrap for this week. Join us back next week when Vanessa Kirby will not be joining us. And until then, this is Nathan signing off. You have been listening to the 42 Cast, copyright 2026. Got a question for the ultimate answer? Contact us at everything@42cast.com. Theme music is Sharper Swords by Brandon Ellis. Check out more of his work at www.cityfires.com. The 42 Cast is a proud member of the ESO Network.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.